Chapter 2999. Could it be that there's something special in the starry sky ancient path? Even a super sage like Elder Xia had to be careful? In the universe, in addition to our origin star, there's another place that you have to be especially careful of. You can't be careless. What place? Could it be that there's another life forbidden zone in the universe? It's not a life forbidden zone, but another star called the Big Dipper. It exists in the vast universe. Of course, it has another name that resounds throughout the starry sky ancient path. It's called the Buried Emperor Star. Buried Emperor Star. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils shrank. Crimson Shenong shivered. Murong Qingqing and Shinjinqius' eyelashes trembled. Why does this name sound so terrifying? Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Buried Emperor Star. Could it be that all the great emperors are buried there? Not all of them, but most of the extremely famous great emperors from all over the universe were hiding there. It can be said that the Big Dipper is an extremely terrifying existence. There are probably many descendants of great emperors on it. Of course, there are also many great emperors' tombs and endless mysteries. There are even many inheritances of great emperors. It can be said that it's an adventure paradise and a hiding place for geniuses. When you reach there, you have to be careful. Lin Xian's expression was solemn. Origin star, buried emperor star. One is the starting point. The other is the end. It's really two very special worlds. Xia Juyo explained again, and Lin Xian noted it down one by one. Because he knew that these were all precious experiences. After leaving, it would be difficult for others to tell him. After listening, Lin Xian asked, Elder Xia, what do I have to do to enter the extraordinary scholar residence? I estimate that in at most 1 or 2 months, the extraordinary scholar residence will reappear in the world. At that time, all the geniuses and talents who want to ascend the path of great emperors will participate in the extraordinary scholar residence's test. However, I don't think you need to. You're so famous and you're a top genius of the human race. I think the extraordinary scholar residence will invite you directly. You just need to wait here patiently. Understood. Lin Xian nodded. Xia Juyu's body became fainter and fainter. There's one more thing I have to remind you of. You don't necessarily have to enter the extraordinary warrior manor and ascend the ancient starry sky path. This is because our true spirit world has become a special place after the path to the Emperor realm opens. At that time, those geniuses and monstrous geniuses who have stepped into the Emperor realm might descend upon our true spirit world. Therefore, a portion of the geniuses chose to stay here and wait. This was also a form of training. As for what you choose, it's up to you. After saying that, Xia Juyu's body became fainter and fainter. In the end, he disappeared into the void. There was actually such a thing. After Lin Xian heard this, he was extremely shocked. What Xia Juyo had told him today was too shocking. It was far beyond his understanding. He came from a small island in the endless sea. At that time, he had felt that the heavenly martial island was the entire world. However, when he had come to the eastern wasteland, he had realized that the martial heaven world was just an island. Later on, he learned about the eastern wasteland, the western desert, and the entire true spirit world. It was too vast, far surpassing the heavenly martial continent. Here in the true spirit world, there were countless sacred grounds, great sects, ancient families, and even the 10,000 ancient races. This made Lin Xian realize that there were countless geniuses and experts here. But now Xia Juyo had told him that it was just a star. There were countless stars and worlds in the universe. The entire universe was even more vast and mysterious. All of this challenged Lin Xian's understanding. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xian prepared to slowly digest this information. He looked at Murong Qingqing and Shinjingqiu. Qingqing, Qiu, what do you two plan to do? Do you want to walk the Emperor realm with me? Big brother Lin Xian, this matter is too shocking. Qiu Er's mind is still a little blank. I have to think about it properly. Murong also said, Big brother Xian, I have to go back and discuss this matter with Master. All right. Lin Xian nodded. He knew that this matter couldn't be forced. After all, stepping on the Emperor realm was equivalent to disregarding life and death. It could be said that it was extremely dangerous. Therefore, he wouldn't force the two of them. After letting the dark red divine dragon send the two of them away, Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and began to wait patiently. Apart from him, the other sacred grounds, ancient families and 10,000 ancient races. Those old ancestors and sages also began to tell their younger generations about the Emperor realm and the various worlds. After hearing this, the geniuses of the younger generation cried out in surprise. They didn't expect that there would be such a vast and mysterious world in the universe. All of this made them exclaim in surprise. The origin star, our true spirit world, is actually so important. Many saints exclaimed, "What? The buried Emperor star? There's actually such a star. Many emperors were buried there. Doesn't that mean that there are countless inheritances of emperors there?" After hearing this, many geniuses' breathing quickened. Even those experts who had been famous for a long time had their eyes red. Inheritors of emperors. These 4 words were so heavy. They knew that until now, they only knew that Yin Nantian had obtained the inheritances of emperors. Of course, the other ancient families and 10,000 ancient races definitely had inheritances of emperors. But even if there was, it wasn't something that anyone could cultivate. Even someone as strong as Yi Wudao hadn't heard that he had inherited emperor inheritance. Therefore, one could imagine how difficult it was to obtain the inheritances of emperors. And in the universe, there was a buried emperor star. There were many inheritances of emperors there. If they could enter there, wouldn't it mean that they had a chance to become the inheritors of emperors? Thinking of this, these people couldn't wait. Ha ha ha. I've decided that my goal is the Sea of Stars. Many people were excited and prepared to step on the path of the universe. That's a must. I'm the man who wants to become the inheritor of emperors. Forget it. I'm the man who wants to become an emperor. Hee. Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? Even someone as strong as Lin Xian, Yi Wudao, and Yin Nantian wouldn't dare to say such big words, right? Everyone was discussing animatedly. Yi family. In front of the ancient palace. An old man with a sage-like demeanor stood there, emitting a mysterious aura. Opposite him were countless clansmen of the Yi family. Among them, the strongest was the head of the Yi family, and beside him was Yi Wudao. At this moment, Yi Wudao's face was filled with shock because he had just learned about the myriad worlds. The young disciples behind him were even more excited. They didn't know what they had to do to enter the ancient path of stars. This was what they were most concerned about. Chapter 3000. At the front, the sage-like old man nodded his head slightly. That's enough. Choose a few top disciples and enter. Let's see who's fated to obtain it. Yi Wudao's eyes flickered. The young disciples and geniuses of the Yi family began to discuss among themselves. What was that place? Seeing the family head and patriarch's serious expressions, could it be? They quickly discussed and guessed. The sage-like old man at the front coughed softly. Immediately, the entire hall fell silent. There was no need to guess. The opening of the path to the great emperor, coupled with the golden age, would be much more difficult than before. Our Yi family is an emperor family, a clan of the ancients, and even has an emperor weapon. It could be said that our Yi family is the most powerful family in the world. Even the immemorial royal family wouldn't dare to make a move against us. However, this was only for now. In the future, once a true great emperor appears, both the clan of the ancients and the 10,000 immemorial races will have to submit to him. Therefore, our Yi family must have another great emperor. At this point, the sage-like patriarch exuded a terrifying aura. Countless runes intertwined on his body. His eyes became sharp, like the starry sky of the universe. From now on, I'm going to open the Yi family's ancestral land. It contains the great emperor's inheritance left behind by Emperor Yi. Who can obtain it will depend on your luck and fortune. What? Opening the ancestral land? The great emperor's inheritance. The Yi family's geniuses took a deep breath, their eyes burning with passion. Even Yi Wudao clenched his fists, his face full of excitement. The great emperor's inheritance was finally going to be opened. He must get it. Not only the Yi family but the Gu family as well. At this moment, the Gu family was also in a state of excitement. Gu Santong's eyes flickered. He looked at the figure in front of him, his expression extremely solemn. In front of him was a slender figure. The figure's body was surrounded by holy light. It was extremely hazy, making it impossible to see clearly. Apart from Gu Santong, the other geniuses of the Gu family looked at the figure with a trace of respect. This was because this was the Gu family's divine body. Its status in the Gu family was no less than Yi Wudao's in the Yi family. It could be said that this was the Gu family's future hope. This time, this figure had also come out of seclusion. Moreover, he would also participate in the competition for the inheritance of the Void Emperor. With him around, it would be difficult for others to obtain it. The Grand Xia dynasty, Nineli dynasty, Myriad Buddha temple, and other extreme holy grounds were all preparing to open the great emperor's inheritance. They let their disciples rely on their opportunities. The Jade Lake Sacred Ground was also an extreme Dao sacred ground, and also had the inheritance left behind by the Queen Mother of the West. At this moment, Morong Qingqing and the 9 figures behind her were standing in the main hall. In front of them were the Queen Mother of the West and the 2 Saint Patriarchs. The 10 of you have been chosen to enter the ancient desolate tower. Whether or not you can obtain the inheritance will depend on you. Morong Qingqing took a deep breath. Half a day ago, she had already spread the news to Lin Xian and told him about her situation. Next, she would enter the ancient desolation tower. She did not know what was waiting for her inside the desolate tower. Yaoguang Holy Land. Although they possessed extreme weapons, they had never produced a great emperor. Their sacred ground was extremely peculiar and strange. At that moment, the Alcade Saint Lord looked at the Alcade Saint Son before him and asked in a deep voice, "Disciple, do you want to enter the house of prodigy?" Replying to Master, "I do not wish to enter yet. Since the ancient starry sky path has opened, my quintessential world is also one of the stops. Then, I will wait in the Alcade Saint Lord and meet the experts of the myriad worlds. Dao Yi Sacred Ground, Dao Yi Saint. All beginnings sacred ground, all beginnings saintess, Lanrua Temple, No Flower and other saints and saintesses were preparing to enter the ancient starry sky path. While the humans were busy, the 10,000 ancient races were the same. Some ancient theocrats and powerful races were also making their own preparations. The nest of 10,000 dragons, Divine Phoenix Ridge, and Fire Qilin Cave sent a portion of their geniuses to enter the House of Prodigy. As for the others, they had their own methods to enter the ancient starry sky path. Among them, the Dragon Crown Prince, Phoenix Princess, and Qilin Crown Prince were the princes and princesses respectively. Their identities were too special. The 3 of them were even more powerful and terrifying than Yi Wudao and the Gu clan's divine physique. This was because they were the descendants of great emperors and had the inheritances of great emperors in their hands. Their bloodlines were even more terrifying. It could be said that their physical bodies had already reached the saint realm. It probably wouldn't be long before they directly comprehended the laws of heaven and earth and became true saints. They were definitely the favored children of heaven and earth. In the true spirit world, there was no one whose talent and bloodline were stronger than theirs. At this moment, the Dragon Crown Prince, Qilin Crown Prince, and Phoenix Princess didn't move. Instead, they were still cultivating. They decided to wait until they became true saints before making a move. At that time, they would sweep through the world. The entire true spirit world became busy and restless because of the opening of the House of Prodigy and the ancient starry sky path. Lin Xian was still patiently waiting. Finally, on the 21st day, someone came to the Immortal Palace. It was a child wearing a Taoist robe. His face was delicate and pretty, and he looked to be 8 or 9 years old. He rode on an immortal crane and descended from the sky. Soon he arrived outside the Immortal Palace. "Who is it?" The Immortal Palace's guardian asked in a deep voice. The child sat on the immortal crane and said indifferently, "Envoy from the House of Prodigy." "Someone from the House of Prodigy?" The guardian was extremely shocked. He respectfully said, "Please wait, I will inform the palace master and elders." As he said that, he turned into a stream of light and rushed inside. Soon Li Xuanxian, the head guardian, and the elders of the Immortal Palace personally came to welcome him. The array formation opened, and they respectfully invited the celestial child in. The child nodded slightly and rode the immortal crane into the Immortal Palace. On the other side, Lin Xian also received the news. At this moment he brought Peacock and the other young disciples to the Star Palace and waited. "He's here!" Peacock and the others exclaimed behind him. Lin Xian raised his head and looked forward. In front, an immortal crane descended with a vast aura. Sitting on it was a young child. "You're Lin Xian?" The young child looked down and stared at Lin Xian. "That's right, it's me." The young child waved his small hand, and an invitation floated down from the sky and landed in Lin Xian's hands. Lin Xian received it and narrowed his eyes. The style of the invitation was very simple and strange, and it was neither gold nor stone. He didn't know what material it was made of. When he held it, he could feel a strange energy flowing within it. At the same time, he heard the voice of the child above him. "Since you have accepted the invitation, it means that you are willing to join the House of Prodigy. 7 days later, inject your power into the invitation, and it will bring you to the House of Prodigy." After saying that, the young child rode the immortal crane and turned around to leave. House of Prodigy? Lin Xian held the invitation and his eyes flickered. Chapter 3001. Lin Xian was not the only one who received an invitation. In addition to Lin Xian, Yin Nantian also received an invitation. The House of Prodigy also sent invitations to Dustless and Yi Wu Dao. However, the two of them were existences of the extreme Dao Holy Lands, so the two of them did not accept the invitations. It seemed that only Lin Xian and the other 5 human-titled prodigies could make the House of Prodigy take the initiative to send invitations. Apart from them, the others had to be tested before they could enter. Those young geniuses who did not receive an invitation went on their way. Because, according to the released news, the House of Prodigy was in the middle ground. Moreover, it was rumored that there were some requirements. It seemed that only geniuses with 40,000 Archean power and above could enter. Moreover, 40,000 Archean power was the bottom line. When this news came out, countless people stopped thinking about it. After all, some saints did not reach 40,000 Archean power. In fact, they could not even reach 30,000. 40,000 Archean power was already a very terrifying existence. Only such a person could enter the House of Prodigy. After Lin Xian received the invitation, he began to prepare. He had already received Morong Qingcheng's voice transmission, and learned that Morong Qingcheng had entered the desolate tower. Therefore, she would not go to the House of Prodigy with him. The other one was Shen Jingqiu. He transmitted his voiceover. Shen Jingqiu was preparing to join the House of Prodigy. Lin Xian told her to come directly. When the time came, he would bring her with him. The other one was the dark red dragon. "Ruffian dragon, do you plan to go with me?" "Of course, I want to see what's so special about the ancient starry sky path." The dark red dragon bared its teeth and said, "Don't worry, with my battle strength and bloodline, entering the knight's mansion is not a problem." Lin Xian nodded and waited patiently. The next day, Shen Jingqiu teleported over. After a few more days, which was 7 days later, Lin Xian injected his power into the invitation. Suddenly, the invitation blossomed with light, forming a spatial force that wrapped around Lin Xian. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian grabbed the Crimson Dragon God and Shen Jingqiu. The 3 of them were teleported away. Not long after, they emerged from the void. As soon as he landed, Lin Xian's power surged and he instantly recovered. Shen Jingqiu and the dark red divine dragon also recovered. The 3 of them looked around curiously. This was a boundless mountain range. It was very vast, and below it was surrounded by clouds. "This place is incredible. This spirit vein is very magical. Where is this place? Central State? There was actually such a place?" The dark red dragon looked around in shock. At the same time, he cried out in alarm. "How terrifying. There was actually a terrifying formation. Brat, looks like this should be the territory of the Prodigy Manor. That's not right. I've been to the Central State before, but I've never heard of such a place." Shen Jingqiu was puzzled. Golden light bloomed in Lin Xian's eyes. He stared at those runes and said, "I'm afraid that this place was previously enveloped by a peerless formation, so we didn't see it. Now that the peerless formation is activated, the Prodigy Manor and this strange mountain range are naturally discovered by us. The Prodigy Manor is really generous. I wonder how many formations they used to isolate. There are buildings and human figures below. It should be there. Let's go. Lin Xian looked at the vast mountain range. There was a palace-like existence. He called out and flew into the distance with Shen Jingqiu and the dark red divine dragon. In front of them, buildings appeared. They were located in the mountain range, like stars. At the front of the mountain gate, there were 3 big words written in flamboyant calligraphy. Prodigy Manor. These 3 big words were very mysterious. Shen Jingqiu took a look and almost fainted. The dark red divine dragon trembled. Lin Xian's scalp also went numb. Who wrote it? It's too terrifying. Those who were weaker probably couldn't even look at it. It was the work of a saint. It contained the power of the laws of heaven and earth. The dark red divine dragon curled its lips. Lin Xian and the other 2 landed in front of the mountain gate and looked into the distance. There were mountains and rivers around them. The scenery was spectacular. When Lin Xian came previously, he had already seen it with his heavenly secret divine eyes. These mountains and rivers were actually formations, using the natural landscape as a protective formation. This kind of work could be said to be heaven-defying and unheard of. The dark red divine dragon next to him was also amazed. Shen Jingqiu was looking into the distance curiously. Inside the mountain gate, there were many figures swaying. In front of them there were buildings. They were magnificent like ancient ruins. There was an ancient aura. It was not simple. Lin Xian was shocked. In front of these buildings, they actually felt small. The magnificence of the Prodigy Manor surpassed those sacred grounds. Indeed, even their immortal palace was not so magnificent. It was worthy of being the entrance to the great Emperor's Road. It was indeed amazing. Who are you? Tell me your names. Do you have an invitation? At this moment, a few children walked over from afar and asked quickly. These children were also 8 or 9 years old. They had delicate faces, wore Taoist robes, and had flying swords on their backs. They looked very similar to the child who came to deliver the invitation on a crane. This was the invitation. Lin Xian waved his hand and took out the invitation. The Taoist child in front took a look and then smiled. It's you. It seems that you're finally here. Welcome to the Prodigy Manor. I'll bring you in now. The child waved his hand and led the way. Lin Xian and the other 2 followed behind silently. As soon as they entered the mountain gate, countless white clouds appeared under the child's feet and turned into a cloud. It carried them into the sky and flew into the distance. Lin Xian and the other 2 looked down. On the mountain path below, many people were already climbing there. There were ancient creatures and some geniuses of the human race. There were no invitations below. If they wanted to enter the Prodigy Manor, they had to pass 3 tests. You have an invitation, so the treatment is naturally different. You can enter directly. Hearing this, the dark red dragon muttered, "But I don't have an invitation. Neither do the little girl and I. Will they beat us down later?" Shen Jingqiu was also a little worried. Tong Ziji turned around and revealed a smile. "No need, I know you guys. You're Lin Xian, known as the Central Emperor. You're Shen Jingqiu, an innate spirit body. You're a dragon. The bloodline of dragons is very strong. Although the 2 of you don't have an invitation, with your bloodline, you can definitely enter the Prodigy Manor. I'll bring you to meet the elders." Not long after, the clouds under their feet landed and Lin Xian and the others arrived in front of a huge hall. A few figures walked out of the Great Desolation Hall. They were all elders. Most of them were white-haired elders, but there were also some middle-aged men and women. They were surrounded by Taoist children. "Elder, we've brought them here." The Taoist children bowed and said. Those people's gazes fell on Lin Xian. Lin Xian took a deep breath and cupped his fists. Lin Xian greets seniors. Shen Jingqiu also bowed respectfully. The dark red dragon turned its eyes and looked around curiously. Lin Xian, not bad, not bad. The elders in front stared at Lin Xian non-stop. The successor of the great dragon sword spirit, and the successor of the 9 yang divine body. Now that they had seen him, he was indeed extraordinary. They could feel the powerful sword aura within Lin Xian's body as well as his terrifying physique. He's definitely a good seedling. Chapter 3002. Yes, the power of a greater mastery. 9 Young divine body was terrifying. A greater mastery great dragon's successor was even more terrifying. As long as this kid could cultivate one, he would be able to laugh at the world. The elders in front of him were discussing with smiles on their faces. In the distance, another white cloud descended. On the mountain path in the distance, there were also figures walking over. There were about 10 of them. The person on the white cloud was no stranger to Lin Xian. It was Yin Nantian. Yin Nantian also saw Lin Xian. Buzz. Their gazes clashed in the air, creating countless sparks. The void couldn't withstand it and kept shattering. A wave of power swept in all directions. Everyone here was an expert. The elders weren't afraid at all. Even the children didn't have any reaction. There was even a child who waved his hand, and the grade 1 flying sword on his back flew out and cut the crack in the void. This scene shocked the people who had just arrived. These children were too terrifying. Yes, looking at them, they didn't seem weaker than them. Damn it, don't talk nonsense. These people were geniuses who had passed the test with great difficulty. There were geniuses of the human race, and also geniuses of the 10,000 ancient races. However, at this moment, they had a strange look in their eyes because these children were too terrifying. Even Lin Xian was taken aback. The kid's power of the Archean age had almost reached 40,000. Beside him, the dark red divine dragon also gasped. As expected of the House of Prodigy, it was indeed a place full of monsters. In the end, an elder with a sage-like demeanor chuckled and waved his hand. The large crack in the void disappeared. Their gazes moved away from Lin Xian and looked at Yin Nantian. Their eyes lit up again. Yin Nantian. Known as the South Emperor, he had obtained the inheritance of the ancient Chaos Emperor and was very powerful. Although he didn't have any heaven-defying bloodline, the words inheritance of the ancient Chaos Emperor were enough to explain everything. His voice was a little immature. Now let me introduce you to the House of Prodigy. Gasp. Everyone's expressions were solemn. Lin Xian also took a deep breath. The little Taoist boy said in a deep voice. There were 4 great peaks in the outstanding scholar manner. They were respectively Misty, Linglong, Divine Stratagem and Plenilune. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes as the few figures behind him discussed amongst themselves. At the side, the dark red divine dragon muttered. Don't tell me you're asking us to choose? Brother Lin Xian, which one should we choose? Xinjingqiu asked. Lin Xian didn't know either. Just by hearing these names, no one knew what was different about this place. However, at this moment He Tu, who was inside the Black Earth, spoke. He transmitted his voice. In the House of Extraordinary Warriors, the full moon peak was the most prosperous. The elders in front of him should be from the 4 peaks. It seems that he wants to choose you this time. Lin Xian was stunned. Then he asked with a voice transmission, Hey Tu, how do you know so much? Hey Tu said, don't forget, my previous master was the 3rd generation successor of the dragon sword. At that time, with his strength he naturally joined the extraordinary warrior manner. At that time, which peak did he join? Lin Xian asked. Hey Tu said, of course it was the full moon peak. Full moon peak? Lin Xian muttered. At this moment an elder in front chuckled and said, I guess you guys don't know much about it. Let me say it. Among the 4 peaks, our Misty Peak is the most powerful. In order, it is Linglong Peak, Divine Stratagem Peak and Full Moon Peak. When he said this, a middle-aged man snorted in displeasure. It seemed that he was from the Full Moon Peak. The surrounding people discussed. Even the rankings were out. Was there a need to think? Of course, they would choose Misty Peak. Lin Xian was confused. He transmitted his voice and asked, Hey Tu, didn't you say that Full Moon Peak was the most powerful? Why is Misty Wind the most powerful one now? Hey Tu, who was floating in the air, was shocked. That's not right. Full Moon Peak was the most powerful one back then. Could it be that something had changed over the years? So much so that the incomparably powerful Full Moon Peak had actually fallen to last place. It seemed that something had happened in between. The 3rd generation successor of the dragon sword was tens of thousands of years ago. It was understandable that there was a change in the rankings. Lin Xian also guessed a thing or two. Then he asked, which peak should I choose? In his opinion, Misty Peak was the strongest. Naturally, he would choose Misty Peak. However, Heitu said, "Of course you should choose Full Moon Peak. Are you sure you want me to enter the last ranked mountain?" Lin Xian was surprised. After all, tens of thousands of years had passed. The current Full Moon Peak might have already declined. "Brat, you don't understand. Back then, I came here with the previous master. The extraordinary warrior manner gave you guys a choice for a reason. Each of the 4 peaks has a steel that is used to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. After all, you guys have a high chance of entering the Sage Realm. With the help of the steels, you guys can improve quickly. Misty Sky Steel, Exquisite Sky Steel, 8 Desolation Steel, and Full Moon Wordless Steel. These 4 steels are very mysterious and contain the power of the laws of heaven and earth. However, among them, the strangest and most mysterious one is the Full Moon Wordless Steel. Although its power is terrifying, it is very difficult to comprehend. I remember that back then, only the previous master was able to comprehend it. Of course, he didn't completely comprehend it. He only comprehended a little. But this is already very impressive. If master had completely comprehended it back then, he probably wouldn't have been killed. At this point, Heitu's mood was a little low. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and asked, "Are you saying that the Full Moon Wordless Steel is very difficult to comprehend? Perhaps this is the reason why Full Moon Peak declined." He guessed roughly. The Full Moon Wordless Steel was too difficult. Even the 3rd generation successor of the Dragon Sword had only comprehended a little. Of course, if the 3rd generation successor was given time, he might really be able to comprehend it. But unfortunately, the 3rd generation successor of the Dragon Sword had already fallen many tens of thousands of years ago. There must be a reason why the 3rd generation successor of the Dragon Sword chose the Full Moon Wordless Steel. I am the successor of the Dragon Sword of this generation. It seems that there is a need to understand how mysterious this Full Moon Wordless Steel is. At this moment, the silver-robed elder in front smiled and said, "Lin Xian, right? I am an elder of the Misty Peak. My Misty Peak is the strongest peak in the Knight's Mansion. We have the Misty Sky Steel that allows you to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth. So, do you want to come to my Misty Peak?" Elder Zhang was all smiles, as if victory was already in his grasp. At the same time, the elder also looked at Yan Nantian, successor of the great emperor. "Come to my place and I can also help you grow the fastest." Hearing that the silver-robed elder had recruited 2 top geniuses, the other elders behind him were displeased. A lady in a green robe walked out. "Don't listen to his nonsense. My exquisite peak is also very powerful. We have the exquisite sky steel that also contains the laws of heaven and earth." Chapter 3003. Seeing this scene, the 10 figures behind were envious. Although they had also passed the test of the House of Prodigy, they did not receive such treatment. Yan Nanshan's eyes flickered. It seemed like he was making a decision. On the other hand, Lin Xian was surprised. The elders of Ethereal, Exquisite, and Divine Tactics were all here. Why didn't anyone from Full Moon Peak say anything? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. "If I remember correctly, there should be another Full Moon Peak." "That's right. I'm an elder of Full Moon Peak." A middle-aged man dressed in white walked out. He looked calm and had no intention of fighting for it. He said in a deep voice, "Full Moon Peak has the Full Moon Wordless Steel. But let me remind you that although the Full Moon Wordless Steel is mysterious, it is extremely difficult to comprehend. So if you want to join Full Moon Peak, think carefully." The white-robed elder was a straightforward person. He did not exaggerate the facts. Instead, he pointed out the strengths and weaknesses of the Full Moon Wordless Steel. The strength was that it was mysterious and powerful. Once one comprehended it successfully, they would be above everyone else. The weakness was that it was extremely difficult to comprehend. The silver-robed elder of Ethereal Peak said, "Lin Xian Yan Nantian, think carefully. No one has been able to comprehend the Full Moon Wordless Steel for tens of thousands of years. Full Moon Peak is ranked last now. Ethereal Peak is the strongest. If you join us, I guarantee that you will have strong protection and support on your path to becoming a great emperor." "Alright, I'll join Ethereal Peak." Yen Nantian nodded without much hesitation. Since Ethereal Peak was the strongest, what reason did he have to reject? Very well. The silver-robed elder smiled. Yen Nantian, the successor of a great emperor, had joined Ethereal Peak. Ethereal Peak's strength would be even more powerful. At the thought of this, he looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian was the successor of the Great Dragon and the successor of the Nine Sons. His potential was limitless. The people of Exquisite Peak and Divine Tactics Peak were anxious. Ethereal Peak had already taken one of the two top geniuses. They would not let him take the second one, right? They said, Silver-robed elder, Ethereal Peak is too greedy. That's right, Lin Xian is for us. The two of them fought with each other while the elder of the Full Moon Valley stood there without speaking. Lin Xian took a deep breath when he saw this. Elders, please stop fighting. Thank you for your kindness. However, I want to join the Full Moon Peak. What? As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. The three elders stood there in a daze, their expressions blank. The white-clothed elder of the Full Moon Peak was also stunned. He couldn't believe his ears. His opponent had actually chosen the Full Moon Peak. Yen Nantian's eyelids also twitched in surprise. The 10 sky prides behind him were in a heated discussion. Was this kid's brain flooded with water? Wasn't it said that Full Moon Peak was the worst? That's right, Ethereal Peak had already extended an olive branch to him. He should enter. Could it be that he was afraid of Yen Nantian? Beside him, the dark red dragon god and Shinjingqiu were also very surprised. However, Shinjingqiu said to listen to brother Lin Xian. The dark red dragon god whispered, Kid, is there any reason? I'll explain it to you when we get back. Lin Xian transmitted his voice. In front, the elder of the Ethereal Peak came back to his senses and frowned. He said, Don't tell me you were attracted by the full moon wordless steel? It's just a legend. After you enter, you may not be able to comprehend it. It's a waste of time. You have to know that you're now walking the path of the great emperor. The green-robed woman of the Exquisite Peak also frowned. I know you're strong. You should have more than 50,000 Archean power. But don't be arrogant. Let me tell you something. There are many sky prides who have entered the path of the great emperor. In the myriad worlds, there are many who have more than 50,000 Archean power. Your strength belongs to the lower middle of the entire ancient path of the starry sky. You're just talented. You can only reach the peak after our nurturing. If you waste your talent and time now, you'll only become a stepping stone for others. What? Hearing this, the dozen or so sky prides behind him were shocked. Lin Xian and Yen Nantian's pupils also shrank. 50,000 Archean power was nothing on the ancient path of the starry sky. This was the first time they heard this news. Seeing Lin Xian's shocked expression, the elder of the Ethereal Peak continued. Of course you haven't completely entered the ancient path of the starry sky yet. When you step on other stars, you'll realize that there are too many monstrous geniuses there. Some even have 80,000 to 90,000 Archean power. 80,000 to 90,000. Yen Nantian sucked in a breath of cold air. The Crimson Divine Dragon and Shinjingqiu were also shocked. He's right. The elder of the Full Moon Peak also sighed. With your talent and the strength of the Ethereal Peak, it's not impossible for you to reach 80,000 to 90,000 Archean power in a few hundred years. This news shocked the sky prides. Lin Xian was also shocked. He didn't expect that there would be so many monstrous geniuses on the ancient path of the starry sky. He knew that under normal circumstances, the strongest combat power below the Sage Realm was only 100,000. His current 50,000 yuan was already very high. But he didn't expect that there would be 80,000 to 90,000. How terrifying was that? Someone like Yi Wudao could probably kill him, and Yen Nantian instantly with just a look. Moreover, the other party wasn't even a sage. Thinking about it, it was simply unimaginable. However, after Hei Tu's reminder, he still said in a deep voice, I've thought it through. I want to join the Full Moon Peak. The atmosphere became extremely strange in an instant. The elders at the front were all stunned. They didn't expect that someone would want to join the Full Moon Peak. Why? Was it because of the full moon wordless steel? But everyone in the Prodigy Manor knew that tens of thousands of years ago, Other than one person who had comprehended a little, no one else had been able to comprehend it. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, could he comprehend it? They didn't think so. Ling Long Peak's elder shook his head. The ethereal Peak's elder also had a gloomy expression. Lin Xian was a good seedling. He didn't want to waste it. At this moment, a woman in a blue dress walked out from the side of the silver-robed elder. She had a beautiful face, but her eyes were cold. Aren't you a little too full of yourself? Do you really think that you have the right to be arrogant just because those people outside gave you the title of Middle Emperor? In our prodigy manner, you're just an ordinary person. The descendant of the great dragon is powerful. The descendant of the 9 sons is powerful. Even if you cultivate to the great success stage, you're just a sage. Don't you see that the descendant of the great emperor beside you has chosen our ethereal peak? What reason do you have to reject? Obviously, Lin Xian's rejection made the woman in blue very angry. Lin Xian rubbed his nose helplessly. He didn't seem to have offended her. Was it just because he rejected her? Chapter 3004. Believe it or not, many people will surpass you if you continue to mess around like this. As for you, you might not even be able to enter the great emperor realm. The lady in blue snorted coldly again. Lin Xian wasn't angry after hearing that. He said indifferently, I rejected ethereal peak not because they are weak. There are other reasons. Looking at the elders in front, Lin Xian sighed. To tell you the truth, I am really interested in the plenilun wordless steel. If I can't comprehend it, it will be the most regretful thing in my life. Therefore, I hope you can fulfill my wish. As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. The elders in front were shocked. The sky prides behind were dumbfounded. He's really here for the plenilun wordless steel. The lady in blue was also stunned. She didn't expect Lin Xian to be so direct and state his intentions. But soon she sneered. Humph, kid, you're really overestimating yourself. The plenilun wordless steel is good, but do you really think you can comprehend it? You're too arrogant. Lin Xian shrugged. How would I know if I don't try? If I don't even dare to try, then what's the point of talking about the great emperor realm? I might as well go home. You. The lady in blue was so angry that her face turned pale because of Lin Xian's attitude. She wanted to say something, but at this moment, the elder in silver waved his hand and said, All right, Qingwu, come back. Since he has already made his decision, let's not force him. There was a trace of coldness and dissatisfaction in his voice. It was obvious that the elders at the front were very displeased with Lin Xian's decision. Elder Zhang of the Plenilun Peak was also very surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to join them. Moreover, his attitude was so firm. To be honest, the Plenilun Peak was no longer as high-spirited as it used to be. All these years, they had been at the bottom of the 4 peaks. The reason was that no one could comprehend the plenilun wordless steel. He wondered if this kid could comprehend it. Hearing Lin Xian's confident words, the white-clothed elder's eyes flickered. The other party was also a descendant of the great dragon. This reminded him of a person from many tens of thousands of years ago. Back then, that person was similarly high-spirited. As a supreme genius, he came to the outstanding scholar mansion and joined the full moon peak. Moreover, that person was indeed extraordinary. He had actually comprehended a trace of the moongazer wordless steel. It was just that later on, the heavens were jealous of the heroic, and such a stunning genius actually fell. This had always been the regret of Full Moon Peak. From then on, no one was able to comprehend the mountain-gazing wordless steel. This time, it was another descendant of the great dragon. He wondered what kind of storm the other party would stir up. The white-robed elder's heart was filled with excitement. He took a deep breath and looked at Lin Xian. Don't worry, if you join my moon-gazing peak will definitely nurture you with all its might. But whether or not you can comprehend the moongazer wordless steel will depend on your luck. I know. Lin Xian nodded. Since Yan Nantian and Lin Xian had made their choice, the other elders' gazes fell on the other people. The 10 geniuses behind them, and the 2 people beside Lin Xian. Of course, the first thing these elders paid attention to was Shun Jingqiu and the dark red dragon beside Lin Xian. One had an innate spirit body, while the other had the bloodline of the dragons. These two were definitely incomparably powerful. However, the other party had a close relationship with Lin Xian. Therefore, these elders were still unsure of how the two of them would choose. Wherever big brother Lin Xian goes, I will go. Shen Jingqiu grabbed Lin Xian's hand. The dark red dragon beside her also said, "Of course I will go with you." This sentence made the elders of the other peaks change their expressions. The full moon peak elder's mouth twitched slightly. To be honest, when he came, he did not expect to be able to accept so many geniuses. At this moment, the girl from Linglong Valley walked up. "Shen Jingqiu, I will call you Qiu. It's a waste for you to join Full Moon Peak. You are different from Lin Xian. He wants to comprehend the blank mountain steel, but you are different. You have an innate spirit body, which is an extremely powerful physique. In the ancient era, it was also very famous. Come to Linglong Peak, this is the most suitable place for you." Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned slightly. At this moment, the elder in white also said, "He is right. You are not suitable for Full Moon Peak. Big brother Lin Xian, Qiu does not want to be separated from you." Shen Jingqiu blinked her big eyes, looking pitiful. Lin Xian smiled and rubbed her hair. "Silly girl. What are you talking about? We are both in the House of Prodigies. How can we be separated? We are just cultivating in different peaks. The House of Prodigies is only so big. Can't you come and find me?" Lin Xian said with a smile. "All right then." Shen Jingqiu nodded her head. She knew that she had to work hard to keep up with Lin Xian's footsteps. She did not want to be a vase, and she did not want to be a burden to Lin Xian. In the next moment, she looked at the green-robed lady and nodded her head. "All right, elder, I will join Linglong Peak." The green-robed lady smiled and stretched out her hand. "Come, Qiu. Linglong Peak will not disappoint you." Seeing this, the people from Divine Will Peak were envious. They looked at the Crimson Dragon. The Crimson Dragon waved its claws. "Don't have any ideas about me. I will follow this kid. Ruffian Dragon, are you sure you don't want to go to other peaks? The full moon steel might not be suitable for you." Lin Xian transmitted his voice to the dragon. The Crimson Dragon transmitted his voice back. "Don't worry, kid. I don't need to comprehend the sky steel. I have the inheritance of dragons. I only need to comprehend the inheritance of dragons." "All right then." Lin Xian nodded his head. It seemed that the Crimson Dragon's situation was a little special. Therefore, he did not bother about it. This old monster would not mistreat him. Lin Xian and Yin Nantian had finished distributing the spoils. Therefore, the elders looked at the 10 sky prides behind them. In the end, half of the 10 sky prides were taken by Ethereal Peak. The other half were taken by Linglong Peak and Divine Will Peak. Only Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon joined Full Moon Peak. The sky prides who had joined the 4 peaks were led by the little boy. As for the elders, they were still standing there, waiting. After all, there were still other sky prides coming. Before they left, the blue-robed lady beside the silver-robed elder looked at Lin Xian and snorted. "Kid, I want to see what kind of talent you have. You want to comprehend the full moon steel? Don't get beaten up by our Ethereal Peak sky prides during the competition. You won't look good on the Central Emperor." It was obvious that the girl was still angry. Lin Xian shrugged his shoulders. "Don't worry, I won't give you a chance. At least you won't have the chance." Then he looked at Shen Jingqiu and said goodbye to Qiu. Then he and the Crimson Dragon followed the little boy to Full Moon Peak. The blue-robed lady was furious. "How dare you look down on me?" Chapter 3005. After leaving the Antiquity Palace, a white cloud appeared beneath Lin Xian, and the rest once again. The little boy in front of them was floating in the sky with the two of them. However, the little boy would turn back from time to time, and sneak a glance at Lin Xian with a weird expression. Lin Xian felt uneasy. The dark red divine dragon at the side was also puzzled. "Kid, what are you looking at? Is there something wrong with this kid's face?" The little boy sighed. "Could it be that you don't recognize that blue-clothed woman? Is she famous? Why should I know her?" Lin Xian was puzzled. The dark red divine dragon at the side said. Could that guy be an old monster that wants to attack us? But that was impossible. Although the little girl's aura was strong and shocking, she was at most at the level of Fengning Xue. People at this level can't beat us. The dark red divine dragon said proudly. The little boy looked at the two of them and said indifferently. She can't beat you guys, but she has an elder brother who is an extremely strong monster in Ethereal Peak. Her elder brother is very strong and has been to other worlds. It is said that he has reached 70,000 archaic power. It is not difficult to beat up a genius with 50,000 archaic power. It can't be, right? Someone has gone to other worlds in advance. The dark red divine dragon was shocked after hearing this. Lin Xian's eyelids were twitching. Who is her elder brother? He is so strong. He did not expect to hear such a strong genius the moment he entered the House of Prodigy. 70,000 archaic power was something that he could not even reach now. It was far beyond him. The dark red divine dragon was also puzzled. Are you talking about an old monster that has lived for thousands of years? Is there someone so strong in the younger generation? Of course there is. There are many monsters who are hidden or active in other worlds. Oh right, you guys might have heard of King Wu's elder brother. Because he is very famous outside. Very famous? 70,000 archaic power in the younger generation? Don't mess around. Even Huamuzhen and the others only had 50,000 archean power, and they were already famous throughout the world. And from the looks of it, the other party should be a human. Did a human have 70,000 archean power? Lin Xian, Yan Nantian Yi Wudao, and Wuchen had all failed. Although Lin Xian's primordial energy had exceeded 50,000, he hadn't even reached 60,000. It was only around 55,000. Not to mention 70,000 archean powers. Who was this person? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. As for him, everyone called him the Northern Demon. That's right, he has the myriad demon body. What? Northern Yao. After Lin Xian heard this, he was extremely shocked. He was no stranger to this title. Because this was a monster who was equally as famous as him. However, he had never met the other party. East Sage, West Buddha, South Emperor, North Demon, and Central Emperor were the names of these elite prodigies. Lin Xian had seen the others before. However, Lin Xian had never seen this Northern Demon before. Not only him, but almost no one had seen it before. The other party seemed to be very mysterious and never appeared in front of others. But who would have thought that he would hear news about him now? Moreover, the other party was too terrifying. 70,000 archean powers, and he had been to other planets. This was absolutely heaven-defying. Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. The dark red dragon was shocked. He wasn't shocked by the Northern Demon's name, but by his physique. The myriad demon body. Heavens, he actually had the myriad demon body. The dark red dragon almost jumped up. This legendary physique had also appeared? What was the myriad demon body? Lin Xian was puzzled. Kid, your Nine-Yang physique and Yi Wadeo's Saint physique are both famous for their powerful physiques. In ancient times, the reputation of the myriad demon body was not inferior to yours. This was definitely a heaven-defying physique. The Nine-Yang physique, the myriad demon body, and the Saint physique had all appeared. This was indeed a golden age. How terrifying were the princes and princesses of the primordial theocrats. Were those princes and princesses more powerful than the Northern Demon? Lin Xian frowned and asked. He had never seen those princes and princesses. The dark red dragon hadn't seen them either, but since he said so, it was definitely true. According to some rumors and the information in my inheritance, princes and princesses can become saints when they come down. Don't you think that's terrifying? What? They're born with a saint physique? Lin Xian's eyes widened. Sanctification of the physical body was such a terrifying existence. One had to know that his Nine-Yang physique was already very heaven-defying. Ordinary invincible kings couldn't hurt him. However, he was still very far away from becoming a saint. He didn't dare to imagine a saint physique. Perhaps only a saint's attack could break that kind of physique. These princes and princesses were really abnormal. It seemed that the road ahead of him was still very long. Lin Xian clenched his fists. He decided to see the legendary Moongazer steal. It would be best if he could comprehend some of the laws of heaven and earth from it. He felt the pressure, and it was a huge pressure. The little boy in front also said, "So don't provoke that Qing Wu." In the extraordinary scholar mansion, she was basically a little princess-like existence. She could do whatever she wanted. This shocking news gave Lin Xian pressure and motivation. Their group set off again. The atmosphere was somewhat silent. Not long after, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were surprised again. The mountain range in front of them was continuous. Looking down from the sky, it looked like a crescent moon. It was extremely strange and mysterious. Below is the territory of our full moon peak. The mountain in the center is the full moon peak. And the area encompassed by the crescent-shaped mountains is called the full moon valley. What a terrifying spiritual energy! The dark red dragon and other big dragon eyes were extremely amazed. What was below was a peerless formation. This kind of formation condensed the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the essence of the sun and moon, for the martial artist to use. And that is, Lin Xian's eyes flickered with golden light. He saw that below, in the full moon valley, there was a terrifying energy surging. Is that a lake? He was extremely surprised. The little boy raised his chin and said proudly, "That's right, that is our full moon lake." The lake water in the full moon lake was not simple. That was a liquid condensed from the essence of heaven and earth. Its power and effect were comparable to supreme-grade dragon qi. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon gasped. In fact, even without the little boy's introduction, they were already shocked enough. Because the two of them could clearly sense how terrifying the energy emitted from the full moon lake below was. If they could enter the lake and cultivate for a while, both of their eyes were red. When the little boy saw this scene, he hurriedly advised, "Don't act recklessly. There is a peerless killing formation below. Without the permission of the peak master, you can't enter at all. Not to mention you, even a half-step saint would be killed if he went down." Damn it, he was really petty. The dark red dragon muttered a few words, but his dragon eyes kept rolling. Chapter 3006. After the warning, Lin Xian and the dark red dragon followed the little boy and continued to fly. At the same time, the little boy explained that the House of Prodigy had existed since ancient times. It had been tens of thousands of years, and had nurtured countless geniuses. You are not the first batch to come. Before this, many geniuses had already entered. Although the full moon peak is temporarily ranked fourth, it is still an extremely terrifying existence. Lin Xian did not doubt this at all. After all, the saints and saintesses of the sacred lands outside did not even have the qualifications to enter the House of Prodigy. Moreover, the true spirit world was too big and too mysterious. Even the saints had not explored the secrets of the world, let alone them. In such a vast world, there must be some geniuses who had entered the House of Prodigy in advance. Lin Xian was not surprised by this. What he needed to do was to cultivate hard and surpass all the geniuses. "All right, we are here. I will take you down to rest first. When the time comes, the great elder will make arrangements for you." The little boy formed a seal with his palm, and white clouds floated down. Soon Lin Xian and the others landed in the mountains below. Around evening, the white-robed elder from before walked over once more. Lin Xian and the dark red dragon stood up. Lin Xian said, "Greetings, elder." He had already learned from the little boy that the white-clothed elder in front of him was not simple. He was the great elder of the full moon peak. The white-clothed elder nodded. "To be honest, I did not expect you to join the full moon peak. Don't worry. Although the full moon peak is not the first peak, our resources and foundation are not inferior to the misty peak at all. However, if you want to obtain the resources of the full moon peak, you can only rely on yourself. Here, all the resources have to be fought for with your own strength." The full moon peak was the same, and so were the other peaks. This was the rule of the House of Prodigy. "I understand." Lin Xian nodded. He was no stranger to this point, because it was not only the House of Prodigy, but also the sacred lands outside, and even the immortal palace, were the same. The stronger your strength and the higher your talent, the more you will be valued. And the more resources they would obtain, the more resources they would obtain. The Peak Lord was also very surprised when he learned of your arrival. Furthermore, the Peak Lord instructed that you have successfully stopped the darkness calamity, which is a meritorious service to the human race. Therefore, the Peak Master decided to give you a super big gift. A super big gift? What kind of super gift was that? Lin Xian was puzzled. The dark red divine dragon's heart thumped wildly. Old man, you can't be asking us to enter the full moon lake, right? That's right, it was the full moon lake. Before coming here, you should have a certain understanding of the full moon lake. The white-clothed first elder chuckled. However, he then looked at the dark red divine dragon. Not you but him. The first elder pointed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian was excited. The dark red dragon curled its lips. TSK stingy guy. Can't you give me one more slot? Could he really enter the full moon lake? Lin Xian was overjoyed. Before coming here, he was already greatly moved by the full moon lake. Furthermore, according to the child, entering the full moon lake was not easy. Ordinary geniuses couldn't enter at all. Even for those powerful freaks, only a few of them were able to enter. It was very difficult to enter the full moon lake to cultivate. It was a great benefit. He didn't expect to receive such a great treatment when he just came to the full moon peak. Looking at the excited Lin Xian, the white-clothed first elder said, "Don't be too happy. Let me give you a reminder." There were already many geniuses who wanted to enter the full moon lake, but they never had the chance. Now that you've just arrived, you've got a chance. So be careful. Old man, from what you're saying, could it be that he wants to snatch it? Don't you care about this place? The dark red divine dragon curled its lips and said. The first elder laughed. We want care. Competition is the best training. Of course, it's better not to kill in the house of prodigy. This was just the beginning. In the future, when he entered other stellar worlds, such battles would become more and more frequent. At that time, there would be no restrictions on killing. Therefore, if he couldn't even withstand the competition in the house of prodigy, there was no need to go to other stellar worlds. Elder, don't worry. I understand. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He wanted to see who dared to snatch his things. Next, the white-clothed first elder left. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon didn't leave and stayed here. The place where they stayed was a manor. There were mountains and rivers, as well as pavilions and palaces. Under their feet, there was a spirit-gathering array that gathered the surrounding spirit chi for them to cultivate. The scenery was beautiful and the array was powerful. It was even better than the stellar palace. No wonder all these monstrous geniuses wanted to squeeze their way in. Of course, Lin Xian knew that this was only the tip of the iceberg of the House of Prodigy. Kid, I've found that these arrays are connected to the full moon lake. It can be said that this is a branch of the full moon lake. I've taken a look. Our location is far from the full moon lake. There are many such manors in front. Presumably, there are also geniuses living there. But their distance is much closer than ours. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. It's nothing. It's normal. The boy from before also said that we're not the first batch to enter. Before us, many geniuses have already entered. Some of them have even entered other stellar worlds. Naturally, they can have such a good place. But don't worry. When I'm here, they'll all have to wait. Lin Xian's eyes flickered with confidence. Of course. When the time comes, we'll settle down beside the full moon lake and make those guys jealous. The dark red divine dragon waved its dragon claws. He had this plan a long time ago. In fact, it wasn't just the full moon peak. The other 3 peaks all had such lakes. They were all formed by absorbing the essence of heaven and earth using supreme arrays. Ethereal Peak. The tall mountains were hidden in the clouds, looking strangely ethereal and illusory. With Ethereal Peak as the center, there was also a huge valley called Ethereal Valley. In Ethereal Valley, there was also a lake called Ethereal Lake. Around Ethereal Lake, there were clouds rolling and it was unusually dreamy. If Lin Xian was here, he would definitely be amazed. That was because the energy of Ethereal Lake was even more surging than the full moon lake. Around Ethereal Lake, there were many mountain ranges of different heights. There were figures flashing on those mountain peaks. It was obvious that there were geniuses cultivating in there. Apart from the difference in height, The distance between those mountain peaks and Ethereal Lake was also different. This point was really similar to the full moon lake. The distance was based on one's strength. The figures in the mountains had strong auras and their breaths shook heaven and earth. There were even some mountain peaks with a torrential bloodlight. That was a phenomenon of heaven and earth formed by the condensation of blood qi. Chapter 3007. In the midst of the rare phenomenon, a blue figure swept past like a meteor and transformed into a woman in a blue robe. The girl in blue stepped on a five-colored cloud and flew at a high speed like a fairy. Her target was the ethereal pot in front of her. If anyone else had barged into the ethereal lake, the geniuses in the surrounding mountains would definitely have attacked them and sent them flying. However, the moment the girl appeared, the geniuses did not attack. Instead, they were all excited. Many people were so excited that the sky and earth started to tremble. Many geniuses had a strange look in their eyes, and some even sounded excited. The number one beauty was here. But no one dared to act rashly despite their excitement. Their gazes were fixed on the blue figure. The blue figure pierced through the clouds and flew towards the misty lake at a rapid speed. At the front of the ethereal lake, there was a figure sitting cross-legged. The blue girl in the sky landed behind the figure and opened her mouth. "Brother." The figure in front of her opened his eyes. It was a handsome young man. He was wearing a purple robe and his black hair hung behind his back. Stars flickered in his eyes. At this moment, he stood up when he heard the shout. As he moved, a terrifying aura rose from under his feet and spread in all directions. The surroundings were filled with mysterious clouds and mist, and even the air was rippling. That young man in purple was the North Beast, an extremely powerful genius. "I heard that those guys are here?" The North Beast asked calmly. Two titled battle pet warriors were here, Yin Nantian and that Lin Xian. At this point, the girl in blue snorted coldly. Yin Nantian was easy to deal with. He looked so arrogant that nothing could be seen. But that Lin Xian was really detestable. Our chief elder wanted him to join the ethereal peak. That was giving him face. But that guy did not know what was good for him, and insisted on joining the full moon peak. He even said that he wanted to comprehend the full moon wordless steel? Humph. Do you think he can comprehend it? What a joke. Did he go to the full moon peak? The North Beast narrowed his eyes. What a surprising guy. But he might be able to create a miracle. "Brother." Qinggu shouted in dissatisfaction. "Do you think he can comprehend it? I don't believe it." According to the records of the House of Prodigy, tens of thousands of years ago, there was a person who managed to comprehend a sliver of it. If he was given enough time, he should be able to comprehend it completely. I've heard of this rumor before. Isn't he the descendant of the great dragon of that generation? I heard that he died unexpectedly in the end. This was the biggest regret of the full moon peak. However, even though this brat is also the successor of the dragon sword, I don't think that he can comprehend it. If we don't believe you, just wait and see. Qingwu coldly snorted. That's right, that fellow actually dared to look down on me. Brother, help me take action and teach that fellow a lesson. Let him know that Central Emperor was nothing in the House of Outstanding Scholars. The North Demon looked at Qingwu with a smile on his face. You little girl, he said calmly. I'm quite interested in this Lin Xian, so I don't want to touch him for the time being. I'll let him grow a bit first. I'll go meet that Yin Nantian, the successor of a great emperor. Don't cause any more trouble, just stay here and cultivate. As soon as he finished speaking, the northern demon's body flickered and disappeared into the void. Looking at the disappearing figure of the northern demon, Qingwu was dissatisfied. Seriously, he didn't even help me. Her beautiful eyes turned. Then a sly smile appeared on her face. Brother, if you don't help me, then don't blame me for using some tricks. She was the #1 beauty of the House of Outstanding Scholars, and the younger sister of the northern demon. What could she do? She reckoned that if she said a word, there would be countless geniuses who would not help her no matter what. Even if she didn't say anything, there would be people who would do it. As more and more new geniuses joined, the House of Outstanding Scholars became lively. There were some restless movements in the Four Peaks. After all, the people who came this time were all incredible figures. This was a golden age. The successors of the great dragon, the great emperor, and some of the 10,000 ancient races' bloodlines had all come. Therefore, it naturally attracted the attention of those powerful geniuses in the House of Outstanding Scholars. After all, these people's talents were not bad. They could even be said to be heaven-defying. In addition to the resources of the House of Outstanding Scholars, it wouldn't be long before they soared to the sky. The full moon peak was also incomparably lively. Those geniuses were all discussing, because a successor of the great dragon had come. Moreover, it was the successor of the 9 suns. The great dragon sword, 9 young divine body. These geniuses had heard of these before. They didn't expect that someone would actually gather these 2 great inheritances in one body. What was even more shocking was that they learned that this kid had actually obtained a chance to enter the full moon lake. This made their eyes turn red. Damn it, how could it be like this? Many people were angry. Soon, news came that this kid had once stopped the dark turmoil and had contributed to the human race. Therefore, the Peak Master had specially rewarded him. Stop the dark turmoil? That's because I didn't go out. If I want to go out, I can also stop it. That's right, using the corpse of a great success divine body to stop it. What kind of ability is that? These geniuses were very unconvinced. Around the full moon lake, there were countless courtyards and manors. They were like stars that were scattered everywhere. In the area closer to the full moon lake, an angry roar came from a manor. Immediately, the void around him churned, forming a terrifying vision of heaven and earth that was about to tear the entire world apart. Inside the manor, a man in black stood there. His black hair danced wildly like a demon king, and his murderous aura was surging. Around him, there were 7 or 8 figures. Brother Situ, please calm down. This is the Peak Master's decision and we can't change it. Yes, it could only be said that this kid was extremely lucky. As soon as he entered the full moon peak, he was able to obtain such a great gift. Some people had faces full of envy. Of course, there were also people that coldly snorted. Who was this kid to think he was worthy of entering the full moon lake? That's right, the one who had the qualifications to enter the full moon lake was of course our brother Situ. Brother Situ, don't worry, I will help you teach that kid a lesson and make him obediently hand over his spot. There was no need. Situ Xiaotian turned his head. His icy cold eyes bloomed with a terrifying light. The void around him rapidly shattered. At this moment, he was like a demon king. His body emitted incomparably mysterious runes. As the surrounding 7 or 8 figures saw this, they sucked in a breath of cold air. It seemed that this Situ Xiaotian was truly angry. Some people shook their heads. Some people sneered inwardly. Hee, let's see how this new kid dies. Situ Xiaotian's voice was icy cold. I will let this kid know that not just anyone can enter the full moon lake. As he spoke, he soared into the air and flew into the distance. Behind him, 7 or 8 monstrous geniuses followed. They knew that there was going to be a good show. They feared that Situ Xiaotian would make a move. This Situ Xiaotian wasn't simple. His strength was formidable, and he was extremely famous on the full moon peak. If he were to make a move, then that kid called Lin Xian would be in for some bad luck. Even if the other party was the descendant of the great dragon and the descendant of the 9 suns, so what? Chapter 3008. Seeing the group of people flying into the distance, the geniuses in the surrounding manors also raised their heads. Many people revealed a trace of surprise. It turned out to be Situ Xiaotian. Looking at the murderous look on his body, he should be ready to make a move. Naturally, these people also knew about the recent events. Situ Xiaotian had always been wild and wanted to enter the full moon lake. But now, the qualification was given to a newcomer who had just arrived. How could the other party be convinced? Let's go and take a look. Many people rose into the air and followed. Firstly, they wanted to see how much Situ Xiaotian's strength had grown recently. Secondly, they also wanted to see what was so magical about this descendant of the great dragon. When Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were about to cultivate, they suddenly raised their heads and looked into the distance. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He could sense countless powerful auras gushing towards them. Each and every one of them was extremely frightening. Many of them were not weaker than Hormusian, Fire Dragon King, and the others. They were definitely a group of geniuses. These people were actually coming towards him. What's going on? Are they trying to intimidate me? Thinking of this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. The dark red divine dragon also jumped up. Are they here so soon? Damn it, these people don't put us in their eyes. He was very angry. He could guess what this group of people was here for even if he used his feet. As soon as he finished speaking, countless figures appeared in the sky. Pairs of eyes looked down and pierced through the void. For a moment, the space around Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon fluctuated rapidly, and countless cracks appeared. Are you that Lin Xian? Someone asked coldly. Lin Xian raised his head and ignored those cold gazes. He also looked at those people. Soon he stared at one of the figures. Because he found that the person's aura was the strongest, and the other party had killing intent. Although the surrounding people's aura was fierce, there was no killing intent. This meant that the other party was here to cause trouble. That's right, I am. Lin Xian nodded. Who are you? Hey, your attitude is quite arrogant. Kid, we came to the House of Prodigy earlier than you. Logically speaking, he should be your senior brother. Why aren't you greeting us when you see us? A black-clothed youth laughed wildly. Since I came early, I should call you senior brother? Lin Xian shook his head and pointed to a tree in his manner. Looking at the age of this tree, it should be at least 3,000 to 4,000 years old. It came much earlier than you. Why don't you call this tree senior brother? Poochie. Hearing this, many people around them laughed. The dark red divine dragon was rolling on the ground laughing. Ha 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 ha, this emperor is going to die from laughter. He really didn't expect Lin Xian to counterattack like this. In the sky, the black-clothed youth's face was terrifyingly gloomy. He was courting death. The other party actually dared to provoke him. Let me go down and teach him a lesson. Situ Xiaotian nodded slightly. He wanted to see if the other party had the right to be so arrogant. Brat, it seems like you still don't understand the situation. Don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're the successor of the great dragon, or the successor of the 9 sons. In this place, everything depended on one's strength. Today, I'll teach you what kind of attitude a newcomer should have. The black-clothed youth descended from the sky like a god-fiend. He carried a murderous aura that filled the sky as he pressed down. With a boom, the void below shattered. Countless runes turned into killing swords and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. He shouted coldly, and the 9 sons' divine body emitted a light that blocked all the killing swords. At the same time, he raised his head, and his eyes emitted a biting cold light. Are you saying that we only rely on our fists here? Very well, I like such rules. At that point, he reached out a large hand and grabbed upward. Puff! Puff! The killing swords that filled the sky shattered. The large golden hand covered the sky and the sun, enveloping that person. Damn it, get lost. The black-clothed youth shouted coldly, and black patterns appeared on his brows. An incomparably terrifying power condensed, and turned into a sharp divine light. It slashed out like a heavenly sword. It wanted to cut Lin Xian's hand in half. Boom. The sword chi that was like a divine light instantly shattered the void. This attack wasn't weaker than Zhang Wushuang's previous attack. Most of the top prodigies outside would probably be cut in half in an instant if they encountered such a sword light. However, Lin Xian was different. His opponent's combat power had almost reached 50,000, but it still wasn't a threat to him. Therefore, he still didn't dodge. Instead, he slapped forward with the golden hand. Your strength is only SOSO. The golden hand shattered the sword chi that was like divine light, and completely froze the black-robed young man in the void. The black-clothed youth's expression was incomparably ugly. The air around him shattered as it was grabbed by the golden hand. The bones in his body creaked. With just a little bit of force, he would be crushed into a bloody mist. What? This kid is actually so powerful. Is this the 9 sons' divine body? The surrounding prodigies were shocked when they saw this scene. They didn't expect Lin Xian to have such power. Situ Xiaotian also narrowed his eyes. 50,000 archaic power. No wonder you're so arrogant. The young man who had attacked Lin Xian had an ancient power level of 47,000, but he was still unable to defeat him. This made Situ Xiaotian speculate that Lin Xian's archaic power was at least 50,000. However, no matter how much it was, it couldn't be much. After all, the other party's age was still there. Therefore, Situ Xiaotian snorted coldly. "Kid, let him go. I'll play with you." Lin Xian didn't stop. Instead, he turned and stared at the other party. "You want to play with me? Who are you? How dare you? This is our senior brother Situ." Many people shouted coldly. "Senior brother Situ?" Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and shook his head slightly. "I've never heard of this name." The corners of the surrounding people's mouths twitched. Situ Xiaotian was such a terrifying existence. How dare he say he's never heard of him? Isn't this purely courting death? "Kid, don't be too arrogant. Don't force me to make a move." Situ Xiaotian's face sank, and there was a hint of cold killing intent in his eyes. Lin Xian sneered. "Don't force you to make a move? Didn't you come here to snatch a spot to enter the full moon lake? You're pretending to be innocent here. If you want to make a move, then come. I'll welcome it." With a wave of his golden hand, the black-clothed youth was thrown away. The black-clothed youth was thrown tens of thousands of miles away. "It looks like you're not stupid. You know my intentions for coming here. Situ Xiaotian is superior. I'll give you a chance. Obediently give this spot to me. I can treat today's matter as if nothing happened. Otherwise," although he didn't finish, the threat in his words was obvious. It looked like Situ Xiaotian wanted to make a move. The surrounding prodigies were all excited. Chapter 3009. One of them was the white-robed Great Elder. Beside him wasn't a person, but a pair of eyes. This pair of eyes carried with them law runes, seeming as if they could see through all. Under this pair of eyes, the first elder appeared to be extremely respectful. "Peak Master, these two little fellows were just exchanging pointers. How did they disturb you?" The Great Elder bowed. Those eyes shined with a starry sky light. A soul fluctuation spread out. "This little fellow is quite interesting. His talent and potential are decent. I wonder what his combat strength is like." The Great Elder said. According to his estimations, his strength should be above 50,000. But as for how much, he didn't know. However, compared to Situ Xiaotian, he might be at a slight disadvantage. But as long as Lin Xian was given enough time, he would be able to surpass Situ Xiaotian in just a few years. After all, he was the descendant of the Great Dragon. The descendant of the Great Dragon had unparalleled potential. If he was properly nurtured, he would absolutely become the #1 person of Full Moon Peak in the future. At that time, it might even be possible for him to surpass the Northern Monster. It could be seen that the Great Elder attached great importance to Lin Xian. He wanted to raise him as the #1 person of his generation. However, listening to the Great Elder's words, it seemed he was looking forward to Lin Xian's future. But he didn't believe that Lin Xian would be able to gain the upper hand in this battle. On the side, the pair of eyes that carried with them the laws emitted soul fluctuations. "I don't think so. I feel that the one to lose this time might be Situ Xiaotian." Hearing this, the white-robed Great Elder was shocked. He knew just how strong Situ Xiaotian was. Although Lin Xian's potential was limitless, what about now? He didn't know. He narrowed his eyes and looked down. Below, Lin Xian coldly said, "Make your move. Let me see just what qualifications you have to snatch my spot." He stared at Situ Xiaotian. Situ Xiaotian sneered. "Fine, let me teach you a lesson, you brat who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Do you need me to give you 3 moves? Give me 3 moves? I'm afraid that after 3 moves, you won't be able to fight." Lin Xian coldly snorted. Although the other party was powerful, he was not invincible. In front of him, the other party did not have the qualifications to be arrogant. Moreover, Lin Xian did not intend to drag this out any longer. He raised his large golden hand and slammed it forward. The golden palm shone like the sun, and was incomparably sharp. It turned into a golden mountain, and shrouded the area below. Everywhere it passed, the void would distort and shatter. From this, one could see how powerful this power was. Acting recklessly. "How dare you take the initiative to attack me?" Situ Xiaotian was enraged. He hadn't even made a move yet, but the other party had already impatiently attacked. What? Could it be that the other party really thought that he could compete with him? His hand clenched into a fist, releasing mysterious symbols, blasting forward. With a loud clang, it collided with the golden palm. Hundreds and thousands of cracks appeared in the sky. The terrifying power caused the hearts of the surrounding monstrous geniuses to shudder. However, in the next moment, their eyes were filled with shock. They discovered that although Situ Sheoshin's fist managed to block the golden palm, it was enveloped by countless golden flames and began to burn. Soon, it turned into ashes and disappeared into the sky. Situ Sheoshin's fist had been broken. Everyone was dumbfounded. They didn't dare to believe it, although they knew that it was just a casual punch from Situ Xiaotian. However, it wasn't something that could be easily broken by just anyone. One could imagine that Lin Xian was stronger than they had imagined. Interesting. I wonder if you can handle my next attack? Lin Fan thought to himself. Milky Way Meteor Fist. Buzz. Situ Sheoshin's fist bloomed with light, shattering the void. The terrifying power was incomparable. Everywhere it passed, everything was shattered. Nothing could withstand it. As soon as the Milky Way Meteor Fist was unleashed, it brought about a phenomenon in the surroundings. The entire sky was completely covered by countless meteors. The golden palm buzzed and the light on it dimmed. Seeing this scene, the followers looked up to the sky and laughed. Ha 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 ha, this kid's 9-yang divine body is only SO. In front of senior brother Situ, he didn't have the qualifications to be arrogant. 9 suns split the sky. Lin Xian snorted coldly. He raised his arm, and terrifying balls of flames erupted from his palm. They turned into a huge flaming sword that soared into the sky. This aura caused the laughter of the surrounding people to instantly stop. Their hearts trembled, and their eyelids twitched wildly. A sense of fear arose in their hearts. They discovered that this aura was so sharp that it made their bodies tremble. This seemed to be the 9-yang sword technique. He could actually cultivate the 9-yang sword technique to such a level. The surrounding monstrous geniuses were also extremely shocked. Buzz. Buzz. The huge flaming sword danced in the sky like a fire dragon, covering the sky and the earth. The entire sky was completely covered by a sea of fire. Boom. Boom. The meteors that filled the sky were split apart by the sword. If this is all you have, then you can get lost. This spot isn't yours yet. Lin Xian's thunderous voice resounded throughout the surroundings. The surrounding people were stunned. Situ Sheoshin's face completely sank. He realized that he had really underestimated his opponent. The strength that Situ Xiaotian displayed was definitely above 50,000 Archean power, and it seemed that Situ Xiaotian wasn't weaker than him. Thinking of this, he snorted coldly, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. Mysterious runes appeared on his body one after another. Crack. Crack. His entire right arm seemed to have turned into a bronze arm. A ferocious aura burst forth from the arm. Bloodline power. Seeing this scene, the surrounding monstrous geniuses' expressions changed. They didn't expect Situ Xiaotian to directly use his bloodline power. It seemed that Situ Xiaotian was really angry. Sure enough, with Situ Sheoshin's hand, the entire space trembled as if it couldn't withstand this power. The surrounding monstrous geniuses also quickly retreated with incomparably solemn expressions. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. Bloodline power? He indeed felt a monstrous aura from Situ Sheoshin's right hand that could destroy everything. No wonder he dared to snatch his spot. Situ Xiaotian was indeed somewhat capable. His means were above Huomuzin's. Boom. The bronze hand reached out and grabbed at Lin Xian. It was like a mountain, and rumbling sounds could be heard. The entire world was trembling. Lin Xian didn't dodge. He still activated 9 suns split the heavens and slashed forward. In the sky, the sea of fire surged, and a sword light descended from the sky. The bronze hand collided with 9 suns split the heavens, producing a deafening sound. When the two collided, 100,000 lightning bolts descended. The bronze hand was too strange. Bronze runes appeared one after another on it, and it blocked 9 suns split the heavens. It blocked it. Lin Xian was also surprised. What a terrifying bloodline power. The bronze hand was indeed extraordinary. Chapter 30:10. That's right, the bronze hand wasn't just for show. It was an ancient technique. Coupled with Situ Sheoshin's bloodline power, it was absolutely heaven-defying. As he spoke, countless runes formed on the bronze hand, and quickly formed a powerful force that sent 9 suns split the sky flying. Not only that, Situ Xiaotian shouted coldly and punched out 9 times in a row. The flaming sword chi trembled and eventually dimmed and cracks appeared on it. Was it broken? Hee, 9 suns split the sky was the ultimate move of the 9 suns sword technique. But now it couldn't withstand the bronze hand. This kid was indeed no match for Situ Xiaotian. That was natural. As long as Situ Xiaotian was serious, he could definitely kill this kid easily. The surrounding geniuses sneered. Situ Sheoshin's eyes shone brightly. The bronze hand reached down and completely shattered 9 suns split the sky before grabbing at Lin Xian. It seemed that he wanted to suppress Lin Xian. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. As the hand fell, a violent wind blew. The surrounding space shattered and black holes appeared one after another. It was truly terrifying. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't expect that Situ Xiaotian would have such an ultimate technique that could repel his 9 suns split the sky. In the next moment, he snorted and waved his hand, pulling out the fire Qilin sword. He stabbed out with his sword. Buzz. Tens of thousands of sword chi slashed out in all directions. It's useless. You can't escape. The bronze hand was like a sky that pressed down and completely enveloped Lin Xian. Boom. Boom. In the end, the bronze hand fell and covered Lin Xian's figure. The surrounding space shattered and formed a cage that completely suppressed Lin Xian. That brat had been sealed. Ha ha ha. I told you he's no match for senior brother Situ. Someone like him wants to go to the full moon lake? Dream on. Cold laughter sounded. The surrounding geniuses were also shocked. It seemed that the successor of the great dragon Sword Soul couldn't do it either. Yes, although he was the successor of the great dragon Sword Soul, if he wanted to compete with Situ Xiaotian, he would have to cultivate for a few more years. Situ Xiaotian was equally pleased with himself. He waved his hand as if he wanted to lift Lin Xian up. However, in the next instant his expression changed. An enormous pain came from his palm. Buzz buzz, countless sword lights flashed, and the bronze hand below let out cracking sounds. In an instant, it was chopped into pieces. A figure walked out from the shattered bronze palm. What? It was broken? Everyone's pupils shrank as if they had seen a ghost. They didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually walk out. That was the bronze hand. How did he break it? The bronze hand contained an extremely powerful bloodline power. It was comparable to a semi-sage tool. So, how had the other party done it? At this moment, they looked at Lin Xian, their bodies trembling slightly. Situ Sheoshin's face was also ferocious. He retracted his palm, his complexion extremely ugly. What, do you want to continue? Lin Xian asked coldly. Although it had only been a few short moves, Situ Xiaotian had suffered a great loss. This undoubtedly showed that this newcomer was very strong. He was ridiculously strong. This fellow was not bad. He was actually able to break through the bronze hand. As expected of the descendant of the great dragon. That sword was too sharp. They didn't expect that Situ Xiaotian would suffer a loss at the other party's hands. If the other party was so strong now, who knew how heaven-defying he would be in the future? Could it be that this was another existence comparable to Misty Peak's northern monster? Everyone discussed spiritedly. They all felt the pressure. And it was an enormous pressure. If this person grew up in the future, he would definitely be a supreme overlord. He was strong, but compared to the northern monster, he was far too lacking. That's right, the northern monster cultivated near Misty Lake all year round. Moreover, it was said that he had already comprehended the misty heavenly steel. With that kind of strength, he was probably abnormally strong. Hearing Lin Xian's words and the surrounding discussions, Situ Sheoshin's face darkened. He revolved his bloodline power, causing the shattered bronze hand to recover once more. However, he didn't make a move. He knew that it wouldn't be easy to defeat this fellow in front of him. Perhaps he would win in the end, but he would also be seriously injured. Moreover, it wasn't certain whether he could completely suppress the other party. I didn't expect that I would misjudge you. I'll let you off this time, but in the future, I'll come back for you. Situ Xiaotian gritted his teeth. Everyone cried out in alarm. Although Situ Xiaotian had spoken ruthlessly, it seemed that he had given up on fighting for a spot this time. This was truly a surprise. It wasn't easy to make Situ Xiaotian give up. At this moment, Su Chen's strength was imprinted in everyone's hearts. Suddenly, a light snort came from the sky. Following that, a figure tore through the void and descended. Seeing this figure, everyone's hearts trembled. Then they respectfully shouted, greeting the First Elder. That's right, the person who came was the white-clothed First Elder. After the First Elder landed, he didn't say anything. The surrounding people were puzzled and looked up. In the next moment, they trembled, and then their voices became even more respectful. Greetings, Peak Master. That's right, they saw a pair of eyes. A pair of godlike eyes looking down at them. Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon were equally shocked. They also saw the pair of godlike eyes. Especially Lin Xian, he was even more surprised. The other party's eyes contained a mysterious and unfathomable power that far surpassed them. This was the power of the laws. The dark red divine dragon was shocked. It didn't expect the Full Moon Peak's Peak Master to be a sage. This little guy's strength was beyond its expectations. The godlike eyes emitted a soul fluctuation. Peak Master, you flatter me. This is just a small trick. I've embarrassed myself. Lin Xian cupped his fists and said. The godlike eyes continued to emit fluctuations. Alright, since no one has any objections, you can go to the Full Moon Lake to cultivate. This time, you have half a day. Lin Xian clenched his fists and a touch of excitement appeared in his eyes. Finally, he could enter the Full Moon Lake. Well, let's see how much the Full Moon Lake can improve him. Under everyone's envious gaze, Lin Xian soared into the sky, turned into a stream of light, and flew toward the Full Moon Lake in front of him. Throughout the process, he felt that the array formation around him was quickly dissipating. It was obvious that the Peak Master had removed the array formation. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to enter the Full Moon Lake. Splash! Lin Xian fell into the lake, causing countless splashes. In the next moment, his figure disappeared from everyone's sight. They wondered how many waves this little guy could create. The First Elder was full of anticipation. Hearing this, the surrounding monstrous geniuses began to discuss. This guy is very talented. I think he should be able to create 5 waves. No, I think it should be at least 6 waves. Can't you guess more? 7 waves. Chapter 30:11. The Crimson Dragon also understood what was going on. It turned out that after a substance entered the Full Moon Lake, it would react with the energy within. Waves would form on the surface of the lake. The more waves one formed, the higher one's talent and the greater one's future achievements would be. From the looks of it, when the northern monster entered the misty lake, he had created 7 waves. This made the dark red divine dragon look forward to it. It wondered what kind of scene this kid could create. Lin Xian didn't know what everyone was talking about. At this moment, he had already entered the Full Moon Lake. After entering, he exclaimed in a low voice. The energy inside was too pure. He didn't even need to deliberately absorb it. The energy would enter his body. Cultivating here for a day, no 2 hours, was comparable to cultivating outside for 100 years. Lin Xian was wild with joy. His eyes shone with a piercing light. He formed a seal with his palms and instantly summoned the Great Dragon Sword Soul. The Great Dragon Sword Soul transformed into a dragon and circled around him, quickly absorbing the energy inside. At the same time, Lin Xian used the longevity secret art. At the same time, he circulated the 9 Yang Bodas cultivation technique and quickly cultivated. He didn't have much time. He only had half a day, so he couldn't waste any of it. Boom, boom, boom. Just as Lin Xian was silently cultivating, outside, a violent wind blew on the surface of the lake. The void cracked open and thunder fell. It was a phenomenon of heaven and earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 waves surged in the sky as if they could extinguish everything. Everyone gasped in surprise. The 5 waves appeared almost instantaneously. This kind of scene was truly astonishing. This kid was so powerful. He could instantly activate the 5-layered waves. I wonder if he can continue? Perhaps that was his limit. Not necessarily. After waiting for a while, the 6th wave rose into the sky. Everyone exclaimed again. I wonder if the 7th wave will appear? They continued to wait. This time, the wait was longer. However, a large crack appeared in the sky as if the entire sky had been split into 2. The 7th wave rose into the sky again. It appeared. The 7th wave really appeared. Heavens, this guy is comparable to the northern monster. His future achievements will definitely be limitless. Those people were amazed. Situ Sheoshan's eyelids twitched. Their full moon peak actually had an existence comparable to the North Fae. In the next moment, these people were stunned. They noticed that after the 7th wave, an 8th wave had actually condensed. The 8th level. It actually appeared. These people screamed. The elders were also extremely shocked. His opponent had actually surpassed the North Demon. This was simply too unbelievable. The news spread quickly and soon spread to the full moon peak. The misty peak was shrouded in mist. At this moment, countless teleportation portals were activated, and news came one after another. Everyone in Misty Peak was shocked as well. What? Someone actually surpassed the North Yao? Misty Lake. Qing Wu sat there cross-legged, her small face somewhat cold. She held a purple array disc in her hand. Runes flickered on its surface, and a message floated over. It was the news of Lin Xian triggering the 7-layered waves. This news caused Qing Wu to be extremely shocked. Damn it! This guy is actually able to trigger the 7-layered waves. How was this possible? One had to know that the only person who could cause the 7-fold wave was her brother. However, the other party was also able to do this. It was really shocking. After pouting for a long time, Qing Wu took a deep breath and waved her jade-like hand, sending the message into the array disc. Brother, let me tell you a piece of news. That despicable guy has entered the full moon lake. Moreover, he even triggered the 7-layered waves. He's actually the same as you. After the news was sent out, Qing Wu waited patiently. After a while, the array disc flickered and countless runes floated out. Along with it was the voice of the North Demon. I didn't expect this guy to be so talented. I really didn't misjudge him. In the future, he will be the opponent that I'm most interested in. The North Demon's voice was a little excited. Qing Wu was panting with anger. Don't worry, brother. That guy is definitely not your opponent. You've already left him far behind. Unless he cultivates for another 500 years, he won't have a chance to catch up to you. Just as she finished speaking, Qing Wu was stunned. Because another array disc beside her sent a message. Not good, Miss Qing Wu. That guy has triggered the 8-layered waves. With a clang, the array disc in Qing Wu's hand fell to the ground. She stood up and screamed. What, the 8-layered waves? Are you sure? Yes. The voice on the array disc was also filled with shock. For a moment, Qing Wu threw it there. Not to mention her, the people of Full Moon Peak were also stunned. When the people of Exquisite Peak and Divine Strategy Peak heard the news, they were also in an uproar. They really didn't expect that Lin Xian would cause such a commotion not long after he entered Full Moon Peak. The 8-layered waves had already surpassed the North Demon. One had to know that the North Demon had also triggered the 7-layered waves back then. On Ethereal Lakeside, Qing Wu gritted her teeth. She hurriedly picked up the array disc and quickly sent a voice transmission. Brother, this is bad. That guy actually triggered the 8-layered waves. After sending the voice transmission, Qing Wu waited nervously. This time, it took even longer before the North Demon's voice came. The 8-layered waves. I didn't expect this guy's talent to be so good. To be able to trigger the 8-layered waves. The North Demon's voice was also incomparably solemn. It was obvious that the 8-layered waves had also shocked him. That was because it had already surpassed him. Don't worry, brother. So what if he's talented? He's still so weak now. Perhaps he'll be killed by others the moment he enters the stellar realm. The array rotated and countless runes formed an illusion. It looked exactly like the North Demon. The moment the illusion appeared, it stared at Qing Wu and shook its head slightly. You can't be careless. This guy isn't someone who will die so easily. According to what I know, he's not a flower in a greenhouse. He's experienced the harshest of storms and fought his way up from the bottom. Everything he has today was fought for by him bit by bit. You can obtain this if you go and collect some information. Therefore, don't underestimate him. This guy might really become the second Yi Gucheng. Yi Gucheng, the name of the third-generation successor of the dragon sword. He was a peerless genius back then. He entered the house of prodigies and comprehended the full moon wordless steel. He was so strong that he swept through the 8 desolates. No one was his match. However, he was surrounded and killed by countless powerful geniuses on the final ancient path of the stars. That battle was earth-shattering. Blood flowed. It was even rumored that in the end, even the saints took action. Even so, they couldn't do anything to Yi Gucheng. Yi Gucheng fought with a group of heaven-defying geniuses, including the saints. He killed a path of blood. In the end, a few saints joined forces and killed Yi Gucheng. As for the result of that battle, other than Yi Gucheng's death, all of the monstrous geniuses who attacked were basically killed. Even among the sages, 1 or 2 of them had perished. Chapter 30:12. This was also the greatest pain of Full Moon Peak. If Yi Gucheng had grown into a saint at that time, he probably wouldn't have fallen. Hearing this ancient legend again, Qingwa's body trembled slightly. Brother, you can't be saying that this kid will really walk on the path of Senior Yi Gucheng, right? He can't succeed. Senior Yi Gucheng is not only the successor of the Great Dragon, but also has an extremely strong Azure Dragon bloodline. Although this kid is strong, he doesn't have the bloodline power. Moreover, Senior Yi Gucheng condensed the 9 heavy waves back then. Moreover, he comprehended the full moon wordless steel. If it wasn't for the short time he comprehended it, he wouldn't have fallen. Perhaps he would have completely comprehended the full moon wordless steel. Qingwu didn't believe that this hateful kid in front of him could be compared with the famous Yi Gucheng. Not only him, but the entire extraordinary scholar mansion was talking about it, especially Full Moon Peak. Many old figures appeared, their bodies trembling. They stared at the full moon lake. There was a trace of expectation in their hearts. Lin Xian was also the successor of the Great Dragon. Could Lin Xian create a second miracle? Around the full moon lake, Situ Xiaotian and the others were stunned. The Great Elder's face was also full of shock. In the sky, the saint's eyes were also flickering. Inside the full moon lake, Lin Xian sat cross-legged at the bottom of the lake. The surrounding energy enveloped him. At the same time, opposite him, the Great Dragon Sword Soul was also enveloped by countless energy and quickly absorbed. Time was almost up. Lin Xian opened his eyes. He only had half a day here, and more than half had already passed. However, what made him happy was that the Great Dragon Sword Soul opposite him was nourished by the energy and recovered again. At this moment, the Great Dragon Sword Soul bared its fangs and brandished its claws. The fierce power on it made even Lin Xian, who had the 9 Yang divine body, tremble slightly. This power could easily pierce through a powerhouse with 60,000 archaic power, right? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This kind of powerful attack power would be Lin Xian's greatest trump card. In addition, Lin Xian's divine body was also blooming with light. He had already reached the 4th level of the 9 Yang divine body. At this moment, with so much energy, his 9 Yang divine body had improved again. Although it hadn't broken through to the 5th level, it had reached an unbelievable level. He felt that there weren't many attacks that could hurt him now. Once he broke through to the 5th level, it would be a saint-level body. This was a qualitative leap. Saint level, his body meant his Bodhis body. King's attacks body. It could be said that the 4th level to the 5th level body. Therefore, breaking through from the 4th layer to the 5th layer was extremely difficult. Full moon lake, the 8 waves spun rapidly, forming a strange phenomenon of heaven and earth. At this moment, countless ayas right guchengtist havas. At this moment, the full moon lake already became the center of the prodigy manor. Other than the full moon peak, many people from the other peaks also came. After all, this scene was too terrifying. One had to know that the North Demon, the most powerful monster in the Misty Peak, had only caused 7 waves back then. But now Lin Xian, a newcomer who had just entered, had caused 8 waves. How could they not be shocked? The time was almost up. This kid should have reached his limit. Someone took a deep breath, and many people quietly wiped off their cold sweat. 8 waves was already very terrifying. Fortunately, the other party didn't cause 9 waves. Otherwise, they couldn't imagine how surprised they would be. Look, they're here. They were the top few people on the Wangyue list. Someone exclaimed. A few figures appeared in the surroundings. They were abnormally powerful, like gods and demons. The full moon list was the ranking of the geniuses on Full Moon Peak. Those who could be on the full moon list were all earth-shattering figures. For example, Situ Xiaotian was on the full moon list. Of course, she couldn't even enter the top 10 of the full moon list. And this time, the ones who appeared were the top 5 on the full moon list. One of them was wearing a black robe. There was a black aura hanging down around him, turning into one Shen-Yi rune after another, enveloping him. No one dared to approach the place where he was. Heimo. He was ranked 2nd. His demonic skills were monstrous and his strength was terrifying. A newcomer who had just entered and caused such a big commotion. Sooner or later, he would be killed. The Heimo flame bloomed with a biting cold killing intent. In his opinion, such a newcomer was simply courting death by doing such a thing. The other party didn't have super strength now, but displayed super talent. He would definitely be targeted. No one would allow such a powerful genius to continue to grow. On the Great Earth Path, everyone was an enemy. Maybe one day, this kid would be secretly assassinated. Hearing Heimo's words, everyone trembled. Even Situ Shaoshan's scalp went numb. Heimo not only had terrifying strength, but his character was also cruel. He would attack at the slightest disagreement. Although he wouldn't be killed, he would be seriously injured and his strength would be greatly reduced. Therefore, no one dared to provoke Heimo. That was interesting. Not far from Heimo, countless blue frosts circled around, forming an ice phoenix that carried a woman. This woman was called Xueling, ranked 3rd on the full moon peak. As she chuckled, the power of ice on her body bloomed, freezing the entire world. The bodies of the geniuses trembled, as if they were about to be frozen. Damn it, Xueling's power of ice has become stronger again. Everyone frantically retreated again. Buzz. A beam of light illuminated the 9 heavens and 10 earths, turning into a human figure that broke the ice that filled the sky. It was a man in green. His face was ordinary, but his eyes were bright and had a strange light. It's him. Many people's pupils shrank. He was also a peerless genius called Yi Fei, ranked 4th. As soon as he appeared, Xueling, who was ranked 3rd, narrowed her eyes. The ice on her body became even colder. She knew that this was definitely a powerful enemy. Although the other party's ranking was lower than hers, she didn't dare to be careless. The other party's flying daggers never missed. A few years ago, the other party killed 13 invincible kings with 1 slash. That battle record was definitely enough to make people tremble. These people were the top geniuses of the full moon peak. Of course, the one ranked 1st didn't come. As for the one ranked 1st, no one was very clear. That was because the other party was too mysterious. He often appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Other than some necessary battles, he basically didn't appear. They only knew that the other party's surname was Huangfu, and his name was Beitian. Huangfu Beitian was in existence even more terrifying than Heimo. He was also the number 1 person on the full moon peak. It was almost time, but this kid still hadn't come out? Above, Heimo frowned, extremely dissatisfied. Chapter 30:13. Hearing this, the others' mouths twitched, but no one dared to refute. In the distance, the eyes of the first elder and the god were fixed on the full moon lake. In fact, in the full moon lake, there were also some powerful geniuses from other mountains. Among them, there were 2 familiar figures. One was Yan Nantian. At this moment, Yan Nantian was still shrouded in a mysterious halo. He was the successor of Atharch, so when he entered, he caused quite a commotion. As for Lin Xian, he was also very serious, so this time, when Lin Xian entered the full moon lake, he also came to watch. The other one was Qing Wu. At this moment, Qing Wu was holding a disc array in her hand, and on it was the North Devil Phantom formed by runes. Brother, that kid really condensed 8 waves. Qing Wu looked at the 8 waves in front of her and gritted her teeth. The North Devil Phantom's eyes were also shining. The North Devil was using an array to watch from afar. He is indeed very strong, and a difficult opponent. The North Devil laughed. Qing Wu snorted coldly. So what? Isn't it just 8 waves? He definitely won't be able to comprehend the full moon wordless steel. Boom. Boom. In front of them, endless air currents rolled, and the 8 waves were even more terrifying. At the bottom of the lake, Lin Xian took a step forward and merged with the great dragon sword soul. Roar. A loud dragon roar sounded, and the entire full moon lake trembled as if it was about to split open. Not only him, but the entire space was shaking. With a boom, the 9th wave condensed and surged into the 9 heavens. At this moment, the god was shocked, and everyone was stunned. The 9th wave finally appeared. The moment the other party rushed out of the full moon lake, it appeared under his feet. How is this possible? Situ Shaoshan's face was full of shock. Yi Fei's expression was serious, and Xueling was also stunned. Black Demon's face sank, and a terrifying light burst out from his eyes. 9 waves, the other party actually condensed 9 waves. It was unbelievable. One had to know that the North Devil had only condensed 7 waves. In history, only one person was able to condense 9 waves. That person was Yi Gucheng. He was a powerful existence who had comprehended the full moon wordless steel. If many sages hadn't joined forces to attack him back then, he wouldn't have died. Such a person was simply a mythical existence. But now, someone had actually accomplished the same feat. Not only that, he was also a descendant of the great dragon, causing everyone to exclaim in shock. Would he become the second Yi Gucheng? In the distance, Yin Nantian snorted coldly. 9 ancient emperor runes appeared on his body and circled around him, making him look like an emperor. His eyes were fixed on the figure that rushed out of the full moon valley. Lin Xian? His fist glowed with light. On the other side, Qing Wu cried out in alarm. How was this possible? Did he really manage to condense 9 waves? She was truly stunned. The North Demon in the illusion was the same. His eyes were filled with shock. 9 heavy waves. His opponent had really condensed 9 waves. This was simply inconceivable. At this moment, everyone was stunned. Young geniuses, monsters on the Moonwatch list, and geniuses from other valleys. The first elder also sucked in a breath of cold air. His godlike eyes flickered with an incomparably sharp light. It was clear that they had never expected this scene to unfold before their eyes. In their opinion, Lin Xian was famous. He was the descendant of the great dragon, the successor of the 9 sons, and his name shook the world. But those who could come to the house of prodigy, which one of them wasn't extremely talented? There was even a descendant of a great emperor, such an unparalleled genius. The Misty Peak even had the 10,000 demon body, such a peerless monster. It could be said that although Lin Xian's name was shocking, he still couldn't suppress everyone here. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's actions had indeed shocked everyone. 9 heavy waves. That was a realm that even the North Demon hadn't reached. Rumor had it that only the legendary Yi Gucheng from tens of thousands of years ago had reached it. And now Lin Xian had done it again. This was simply a legend. This guy was too powerful. The surrounding geniuses were shocked. Situ Shaoshan's hands trembled slightly. Yi Fei's eyes emitted a piercing cold light, and Xueling narrowed her eyes. I'm getting more and more interested in this guy. On the other side, the Black Demon, who was like a demon king, had a gloomy expression. Just condensing the 9 heavy waves, so what? His talent isn't bad, but his strength is too weak. In front of me, he can't arouse my interest at all. Although he said that, no matter how he listened, he could hear a hint of jealousy in his words. After all, he couldn't condense the 9 heavy waves either. Yin Nantian didn't say anything. His eyes flickered with strange runes as he stared at the figure in the distance. On the other side, Qing Wu was stunned. Her cherry mouth was wide open. Heavens, what did I just see? This guy actually did it. Damn it, I don't believe it. Am I dreaming? Brother, we aren't under an illusion, right? She hugged the disc array in her hand, and the illusory North Demon also took a deep breath. This guy's talent is beyond our imagination. He will definitely be a difficult opponent in the future. That's impossible, brother. You think too highly of him. Qingwu snorted. Isn't it just the 9 heavy waves? It just shows that he has some talent. Besides, the 9 heavy waves might not be able to comprehend the full moon wordless steel. If he can't comprehend it, he can't be compared to you. Qingwu was still stubborn. However, what she said was not wrong. In the distance, the great elder was also extremely excited. The eyes of a saint beside him also flickered with strange fluctuations. It was really a surprise. This kid might really become the second Yi Gucheng. The great elder said excitedly. Beside him, the godlike eyes emitted fluctuations. It was possible. However, it might not be certain. All of this had to wait until he comprehended the full moon wordless steel. Although he caused the 9 heavy waves and shocked everyone, it was still hard to say whether he could comprehend the full moon wordless steel. At this moment, everyone was looking forward to it. They really wanted to know if Lin Xian could comprehend the full moon wordless steel. He still wanted to comprehend the full moon wordless steel? He was overestimating himself. Let's get a spot first. The black demon snorted coldly. The full moon wordless steel was the treasure of the full moon peak. Not everyone could comprehend it. One had to rush to the top 3 of the full moon peak to be qualified to comprehend it. This kid was just a newcomer now. Although he caused the 9 heavy waves, he wanted to rush to the top 3 in a short period of time. It was simply impossible. After all, there was not much time left until the next opening of the full moon wordless steel. This little bit of time was simply insignificant to them. It was not enough for their strength to undergo earth-shattering changes. Therefore, in their opinion, the other party had no hope at all. Lin Xian rushed out of the full moon lake. He let out a long roar, and was very happy. This time, although he did not break through, his strength had become stronger. He was even stronger than before. The great dragon sword soul and 9 yang divine body had also been improved. Chapter 30:14. He saw that there were many figures around him, and their gazes were all on him. Lin Xian frowned. He sensed some powerful energy fluctuations surging over. Among them, 3 figures were the most terrifying. Their strength was far above Situshe oceans. Lin Xian turned his head and stared at He Emo, Xueling, and Yi Fei. The aura of those 3 people made his blood boil. So terrifying. Who were these 3 people? How was it, kid? The dark red dragon flew over from afar, and came to Lin Xian's side. Lin Xian nodded. He had broken through a little. His harvest this time was indeed not small. Then he asked again, who are those 3 people? Oh, you mean those 3 guys? The dark red dragon glanced behind him, curled his lips, and began to explain to Lin Xian. Soon Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. They were the top 5 people on the Moonview roll. In that case, those 3 should be the top few people on the full moon peak, right? The second-ranked He Emo, the third-ranked Xueling, and the fourth-ranked Yi Fei. As if sensing Lin Xian's gaze, Yi Fei and Xueling also turned their heads to look at him. In the next moment, their gazes clashed in the sky. With a bang, the void in the middle instantly turned into a black hole. These guys were really perverted. Just the energy produced by their gazes was so terrifying. The surrounding monsters swallowed their saliva. However, Lin Xian was really reckless. He had just entered and dared to provoke Yi Fei and the others. Yi Fei and Xueling were fine. Although they were powerful, they were just a little arrogant. However, Heimo was very cruel. That kid had made such a big scene today. Heimo would probably be unhappy. Sure enough, when Heimo saw Lin Xian's gaze, he shouted coldly. A ball of black flames flew out from his eyes. It instantly floated towards Lin Xian. From the looks of it, he was trying to intimidate Lin Xian. Fuck, how shameless. Ambush. The dark red dragon cursed. He didn't try to take it head-on because he could see how terrifying the black flames were. Lin Xian also frowned and used the yin-yang steps to dodge the attack. In the next moment, He turned his head and looked forward. His gaze was fixed on the other party. Your speed is not bad. You actually managed to dodge my black flames. The corners of Black Demon's mouth curled up into a cold smile. However, do you think you have the qualifications to taint the wordless steel just because of this? Brat, let's talk about it after a few hundred years. Right now you don't have the qualifications. Hearing this, the crowd went into an uproar. It seemed that the Black Demon was indeed angry. This brat was going to be miserable. That was because the Black Demon was extremely powerful. On Moonful Peak, he was second only to Huangfu Beitian. Moreover, his personality was so cruel that he would severely injure people if things didn't go his way. This time, he had set his sights on this Lin brat. He reckoned that the brat would end up in a miserable state. This guy must have eaten gunpowder. Lin Xian was also surprised. He did not know the other party. Furthermore, the other party was ruthless from the start. That black flame from before was extremely terrifying. Even a genius like Huamuzhen would be injured if she was enveloped by that flame. As soon as this guy appeared, he was so ruthless. Could it be that no one cared? He looked in the direction of the Great Elder, and found that the Great Elder and the sage were just silently watching the battle. They had no intention of stopping it. It seemed that the rules of the Extraordinary Warrior's Mansion were very relaxed. They could fight at will. However, it made sense. After all, this was the entrance to the Great Emperor's Road. The battles on the Great Emperor's Road were extremely tragic. Perhaps the Extraordinary Warrior's Mansion was also based on this point. Therefore, they did not have too many restrictions. Since he knew this point, Lin Xian did not hold back. He frowned. What? Can I comprehend the wordless steel? You have the final say? Who do you think you are? Fuck. Hearing this, everyone's eyelids twitched fiercely. This brat actually went against the Black Demon? Was his brain flooded with water? Did he know who he was facing? The ignorant were fearless. It was no wonder that he had just arrived and did not know the Black Demon's name. If he knew that he was facing the Black Demon, the second genius of Moonful Peak, he would probably immediately kneel on the ground in fear. In the distance, the Sky Prides were discussing animatedly. The Black Demon's face darkened. It had been a long time since someone dared to speak to him like this. Therefore, the Black Demon was stunned for a moment when he heard the other party's words. When he came back to his senses, his face was terrifyingly dark. Good, very good. Brat, you are the first one who dares to speak to me like this. What, am I wrong? Are you in charge of the wordless steel? Lin Xian still had his hands behind his back and said indifferently. Regardless of whether it was the Black Demon or the White Demon, since the other party wanted to hurt him, he would not be nice to them. Brat, you don't have to provoke me. To tell you the truth, if you want to comprehend the wordless steel, you have to get a spot. Only the top 3 geniuses of Moonful Peak are qualified to comprehend it. Do you think it's possible for you to do so? So that's how it is. Lin Xian was surprised. He did not know this before. Thank you for telling me the rules. You should be ranked second. If I defeat you, will I be the new second? In that case, I should be qualified. Lin Xian stared at the Black Demon in front of him again. A biting cold sword intent bloomed from his body. Oh my god, he's causing trouble. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people trembled and almost fainted from fright. What is this guy trying to do? Did I hear wrongly? Does he mean to fight the Black Demon? Oh my god, is this kid in the water? It's not just in the water. He's courting death. Who does he think he is? How dare he provoke the Black Demon? The Black Demon was ranked second on Moonful Peak, second only to Huangfu Beitian. He was definitely a supreme figure. He was an existence that could compete with the top geniuses of the other peaks. This kid was talented, but his current strength could not be compared to the Black Demon. He probably could not even block a palm strike from the Black Demon. Everyone guessed. After all, the Black Demon had been famous for a long time, and his strength was too terrifying. When Yi Fei and Xueling heard this, they frowned and revealed a trace of shock. They looked at Lin Xian with shock on their faces. They wanted to know where he got his confidence from. You want to attack me? The Black Demon was stunned. Then he sneered. Kid, it seems that you don't know my strength. Do you think that my second ranking is for nothing? Well, I'll teach you a lesson today. The House of Prodigy is not a place where you can behave atrociously. Here, whether you're the descendant of the dragon or the 9 sons, you have to lie down. The black demon's body emitted a monstrous aura. Boundless black flames jumped and covered half of the sky. An extremely terrifying power spread out from it. Those geniuses retreated frantically. Damn it, this guy really angered the black demon. Don't say any more, hurry up and stay away. If the black demon attacked, those who were close would suffer. These people knew very well how terrifying the black demon was. Lin Xian felt this force and was also shocked. It was very strong, but so what? Chapter 30:15. He took a step out. 10,000 rays of sword chi blossomed from his body, turning into a sword cloud, spiraling behind her. The two people's auras continued to rise. A great battle was about to break out. However, at this time, a bolt of lightning streaked across, slashing the void between the two people, forming a large spatial crack, engulfing the two people's auras. All right, Head Elder spoke up. Lin Xian, for you to be able to condense the 9 heavy waves at the full moon lake and recreate the legend, it's really something worthy of celebration. I think highly of you. These words were a kind of affirmation of Lin Xian's heaven and earth phenomenon that he caused previously. After all, for so many tens of thousands of years, only 2 people could do it. Lin Xian was one of them. How could they not be excited? However, Head Elder said again, you've only been at the extraordinary warrior mansion for a short time. Why not cultivate for a while first? Want to fight? There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. When these words came out, everyone sighed. Looks like Head Elder made a move to stop this battle. Indeed, although Head Elder and the rest admired Lin Xian, they did not think that the current Lin Xian had the qualifications to compete with Hei Mo. After all, Hei Mo was an extremely terrifying existence. They did not want Hei Mo to make a move and seriously injure Lin Xian. Since Head Elder spoke, then I'll spare your life today. Kid, you're very lucky to be able to jump around for a few months. But don't worry, after a few months, there will be a competition at the full moon peak. At that time, I'll personally make a move and let you know the rules. Is that so? At that time, I'll experience what kind of strength you, the person ranked second, have. If your strength is too weak, I don't mind teaching you how to trample. A cold light burst out from Lin Xian's eyes. Everyone sucked in a cold breath, their scalps tingling. Was this a challenge? A new kid actually dared to challenge Hei Mo. Although they were going to fight again in a few months, what could change in a few months? Most people shook their heads, thinking that this Lin Xian was really insolent and reckless. Of course, there was also a small group of people who were excited and curious. The dark red divine dragon was one of them. Haha, you bunch of idiots. Just you wait. A few months later, your jaws will definitely drop. He was looking forward to the battle in a few months. I'll be waiting for you. Hei Mo coldly glared at Lin Xian. With a wave of his sleeve, he turned into a mass of demonic clouds and disappeared into the void. Interesting. I'm looking forward to the competition in a few months. Xueling giggled and also turned into an ice sword, breaking through the void. In the end, Yi Fei also shot a glance at Lin Xian. Without saying anything, he turned around and left. Following this, the geniuses began to leave. In the sky, the godlike eye slowly disappeared. The Great Elder also turned into a wisp of green smoke and disappeared. Let's go. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian brought the dark red divine dragon back to the manor. In the following days, Lin Xian sat cross-legged in the manor to cultivate. He wanted to stabilize the strength he had gained. After about 7 days, Lin Xian opened his eyes. The strength in his body had completely stabilized. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure came into the manor. Seeing this figure, Lin Xian immediately stood up. It was the Great Elder. Lin Xian cupped his fists and shouted. Lin Xian was also shocked by this Great Elder. He could not see through him at all. However, from his perception, he should not be an invincible king. Instead, he should have surpassed the invincible king. Whether he was a sage-to-be or a sage-to-be, he was not sure. Although he did not have any terrifying strength, the more he was like this, the more mysterious he seemed. The great elder said with a smile. Kid, have you not gone out for the past few days? No, you have been consolidating your cultivation. Lin Xian shook his head. I have to say, you are quite bold. I have stayed in the House of Prodigies for many years and have seen all kinds of geniuses. However, this is the first time I have seen someone like you who dared to provoke Hmo. It was not that I wanted to provoke him, but he was too much of a bully. I don't even know him. We haven't even met before. He actually used such an attack on me the moment he saw me. If that wisp of black flame fell, I estimate that even a prodigy with 50,000 Archean power would be injured. Tell me, how can I not be angry? Sigh, this Hmo is indeed arrogant and overbearing. The great elder sighed and then changed the topic. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. I will take you to a place. Where to? You will know when you get there. The great elder waved his sleeve, and countless laws enveloped Lin Xian, bringing him away from the spot. Lin Xian followed the great elder. He did not bring the dark red dragon nor the snow-white monkey. These two guys had already run out and no one knew where they went to harm people. The great elder was very fast. It was so fast that Lin Xian could not believe it. He knew that this was the speed of laws. Soon, the two of them arrived at the back mountain. There was no one here, but there were many teleportation arrays. The great elder brought Lin Xian to a teleportation array. Buzz. The two of them disappeared from the teleportation array. When the two of them appeared again, Lin Xian opened his eyes wide and looked in front of him in disbelief. In front of him, it was bright and full of light. Those who did not know would think that they had arrived at the immortal world. Countless jade palaces sat on the ground, emitting a holy light. There were strange flowers and herbs growing around, emitting a strong fragrance. Great elder, you didn't bring me to the immortal world, right? Lin Xian was shocked. Hee hee. The great elder laughed. It would be great if it was really the immortal world. How could we have a place that even the great emperor had never been to? Don't think too much. This was a secret realm of the House of Prodigies. Lin Xian saw that there were figures entering the palaces in front of him. Lin Xian even met a few of them. He had seen them at the Full Moon Lake before. They were a little familiar. It seemed that this was not a paradise on earth, but a special place of the House of Prodigies. Let's go. Don't be in a daze here. The great elder brought Lin Xian forward. Lin Xian followed behind. Walking on the stairs, light flowed under his feet, emitting turbulent energy. Lin Xian felt a strong spiritual energy rushing towards him. He raised his head and saw a plaque on top of the huge palace. Two words were written in flamboyant calligraphy. Moon Palace. In front of the main hall of the Moon Palace, there was a Taoist sweeping the floor. The old man's hair was messy and his face was pale. There was no energy fluctuation on his body, as if he was an ordinary person. Even his sweeping movement was very slow. It was as if he had one foot in the grave and would die at any time. For such an ordinary old man to appear in this fairyland-like palace, it was particularly eye-catching. Lin Xian could not help but take a few more glances. However, he frowned. Even if he used the Tianji God eyes, he could not see what was special about this old man. It was as if he was really an ordinary person. Chapter 30:16. Go in and see if there are any opportunities. The great elder waved his hand and said. Lin Xian nodded, turned around, and walked towards the Moon Palace. Soon, his figure disappeared from the Moon Palace. The great elder took a deep breath and looked at the Taoist priest in front of him. Then he bowed respectfully. Greetings, Grand Elder. This time, the full moon peak might have a turning point. Someone might be able to comprehend the full moon wordless steel. Hearing this, the Taoist priest in front of him said indifferently without raising his head. Oh, are you talking about the little guy who just went in? His voice was also very light, without any energy fluctuations or the power of laws. This made people very suspicious. Who exactly was this old man? However, before the great elder could say anything, the old Taoist priest nodded. That little guy is not bad. I can feel at least 3 powerful energy fluctuations in his body. It seems that this little guy has a lot of secrets. 3? I don't know about that. I only know that he is the successor of the great dragon and the successor of the 9 sons. Is that so? No wonder. The great dragon's sword and the 9 sons' divine body are indeed worthy of their reputation. However, his eyes were also very strange. The old Taoist priest did not look at Lin Xian from the beginning to the end, but now, he seemed to have seen through Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes also have secrets? The great elder was surprised. He really did not know about this. However, he did not intend to delve into it. After all, he knew that these people were all geniuses. Who didn't have secrets? Lin Xian walked in. The interior was still colorful, like an immortal palace. Not long after, a black shadow suddenly charged towards him, giving Lin Xian a fright. He subconsciously raised his hand and struck out with his palm. Boom. He struck out with his palm. The void trembled, and the impact was vast and mighty. This palm strike of his could instantly blow apart an invincible king. However, the thing in front of him did not shatter. It only took a step back, which surprised Lin Xian. So powerful. Who is this person? His physique is too strong. He was even stronger than the prodigies of the primeval theocrats. However, when Lin Xian saw the black figure in front of him, he was completely stunned. The black shadow in front of him was too strange. It had a mysterious aura flowing around its body, and a pair of jade-like wings on its back. They didn't look like humans at all. 10,000 ancient races? Lin Xian frowned. Wang. At this moment, not far from him, another figure with a pair of white jade wings flew over. Its opponent was a woman. She held a red sword in her hand and slashed out 3 sword flashes. The sword chi was like a rainbow, forcing the figure to retreat. At the same time, she turned to look at Lin Xian with a face full of surprise. You're new? My name is Lin Xian. How should I address you? And what was this thing in front of him? Lin Xian? You're that Lin Xian. This time, the woman in red was surprised. She curiously sized up the young man in front of her. He looks handsome, but there's nothing special about him. Lin Xian smiled bitterly. What's special about me? The woman in red smiled and said, You don't know, but the news about you has spread on the full moon peak. Everyone is saying that you have 3 heads and 6 arms. Lin Xian was speechless. Didn't he just create the 9 heavy waves at the full moon lake? Was there a need to spread such rumors? 3 heads and 6 arms? He wasn't from the 10,000 ancient races either. Looking at the speechless Lin Xian, the woman in red smiled and said, My surname is Lu, and my name is Lu Yanin. Fairy Lu, can you tell me what kind of monster this is? As he spoke, Lin Xuani struck out with his palm again. The golden palm turned into a huge seal and blasted forward violently. The figure on top of it blasted him back again. They're called moon shadow beings. I don't know how they came about, but they contain mysterious power. We fight with them to increase our combat experience and hone ourselves. Moreover, speaking till here, Lu Yanin slashed out a few more times, causing that moon shadow person to tremble. A mysterious aura flickered on the moon shadow being's body and poured into Lu Yanin's body. This is the second benefit, absorbing their power to strengthen oneself. This is a very pure power, the essence of the moon. Don't worry. You just need to absorb it into your body and refine it. By the way, this should be your first time coming to the Moon Palace, right? You definitely haven't gone to the Moon Soul Stone. Go to the Moon Soul Stone first, condense the Moon Soul in your body, and then come back to absorb the essence of the moon. Lin Xian was surprised by all of this. As expected of the full moon peak, the things inside were too profound. He walked forward. Along the way, he saw many people fighting with these moon shadow beings. As long as they defeated these moon shadow beings, they could absorb the essence of the moon from these moon shadow beings. After walking for a while, Lin Xian frowned. He felt an abnormal energy fluctuation in front of him. He couldn't help but speed up. Soon he came to the front. In front of him was a large hall. In the center of the hall, there was a crescent-shaped stone suspended in midair. It was as white as jade and emitted rays of light that hung down. It was very mysterious. This should be the Moon Soul Stone. Lin Xian's arrival attracted the attention of many people around. In the next moment, they were discussing animatedly. It's that kid. Who is he? He's that Lin Xian. What? That Lin Xian who has 3 heads and 6 arms? It seems that he's going to condense the moon soul. There were many people sitting cross-legged around. They were facing the moon soul stone, and seemed to be absorbing the power on it. However, this distance made the corner of Lin Xian's mouth twitch a little. Damn, isn't it too far? Those who didn't know would think that these people were doing something. No one dared to get close to the moon soul stone, and could only absorb it from afar. Even so, the monstrous geniuses were satisfied with what they had. Could it be that this moon soul stone was so powerful and terrifying? Lin Xian didn't believe it and prepared to walk forward. Seeing this scene, the expressions of the geniuses in the distance changed. This kid is really bold. Heh, does he think that he can be presumptuous here just because he can condense the 9 heavy waves? Let's see how he dies. Many people gloated. In the distance, Lu Yanan also exclaimed when she saw this scene. Lin Xian, be careful, don't get too close. This moon soul is very strange. If you get too close, it can directly penetrate your soul. Directly penetrate the soul. After Lin Xian heard this, he also stopped in his tracks. His expression became serious as he looked at the moon soul stone in front of him. When the surrounding people heard this, they sighed. Damn it, who was the one who tipped them off? They originally wanted to watch a show. However, when they saw the woman in red in the distance, they immediately shrunk their necks in fear and didn't dare to speak anymore. Outside, the first elder waved his hands. In front of him, countless laws condensed and formed a small ball of light. What was displayed on the ball of light was Lin Xian's current state. At this moment, in addition to the first elder, the Taoist priest who was sweeping the floor also raised his head. His turbid eyes were also looking at the ball of light in front of him. Chapter 30:17. What was this kid trying to do? Was he really going to get close? What a joke! Who did he think he was? Even top prodigies like Yi Fei and Xue Ling did not dare to get too close. Not to mention him. But that might not be the case. This kid had set off the 9 waves and created a legend. Perhaps he would have a way. The surrounding prodigies discussed animatedly. However, most of them shook their heads. If you say he can do it in a few decades, I believe you. If you say he can do it now, I won't believe you. Lin Xian ignored the people around him. He only had eyes for the moon soul stone in front of him. After taking a deep breath, Lin Xian walked forward again. Is this guy listening to me? Behind him, the woman in red frowned when she saw this scene. Forget it, I'll ignore him. It's good to let him suffer a little, so that he won't be so arrogant again. Indeed, in the eyes of these prodigies, Lin Xian was indeed too arrogant. First, he provoked the black demon, and now he was trying to get close to the moon soul stone. Which one of those things did not scare these people out of their wits? No one else dared to do it, but this kid did it one after another. If that was not arrogance, then what was? Perhaps he would only be able to calm this fellow down after suffering a little. Lin Xian had only taken 2 steps when he felt an immense pressure surging towards him from the front, wanting to crush him to death. This pressure was not only on his body, but also his soul. No wonder that was the case. No wonder those top prodigies did not dare to get too close. Even a prodigy would not be able to withstand an injury to his soul. Moreover, if he was not careful, he might be killed on the spot. Now he finally understood why the people around him were so far away and did not dare to get close. He also knew why the woman in red behind him reminded him. However, that was for others. These people might not be able to do it, but for Lin Xian, it might not be the case. He really didn't believe in this evil. In the next moment, he took a deep breath and walked forward. The dragon sword soul in his body circulated, and a wave of sword chi surrounded his body as he slashed forward. The great dragon sword soul's attack was unparalleled. It could cut through everything. Even though the moon soul stone had terrifying power, it was still cut open by the great dragon sword soul. Although the speed of the slash was very slow, it was already very shocking. Golden light blossomed in Lin Xian's eyes. Sensing this scene, the corners of his mouth curled into a smile as he slowly walked forward. This brat really didn't know what was good for him. He had already warned him not to go over, But he refused to listen. Who did he think he was? He was too arrogant. Did he think that he could be arrogant anywhere just because he caused the 9 heavy waves? In the Moon Soul Stone he wouldn't even know how he died. These people sneered. The woman in red behind him also shook her head. She didn't think that Lin Xian would succeed. Perhaps after 2 steps, the other party would vomit blood and fly back. But soon these people were stunned. What's going on? He actually took 5 steps forward. Damn it. How did this kid do it? Impossible, I don't believe it. The surrounding people widened their eyes as if they had seen a ghost. At the rear, the woman in red was also stunned. How could this be? The other party actually took 5 steps. In Ye's opinion, the other party was strong and had the 9 yang divine body, but he could only take 2 steps at most. If he went any further, he would be injured. But now the other party took 5 steps in one breath. What was even more strange was that the other party was not injured. Damn it, this was really strange. Could it be that the Moon Soul Stone didn't affect him? How was that possible? Who would go and test if the Moon Soul Stone's function had failed? These people were very confused. I'll do it. One of the gray-clothed young men turned into a ray of light and flew out. He had only taken a few steps when he vomited blood and flew back. His face was extremely pale. At the next moment, he got up and cursed crazily. Damn it, who told me to go? Who said that it was useless? I'm going to fight it out with him. This guy had rushed too fast and was severely injured. He hurriedly retreated far away and swallowed a pill to heal his injuries. When the others saw this scene, they were dumbfounded. The Moon Soul Stone was still terrifying, but why was that kid fine? Everyone in the main hall was stunned. Outside the main hall, the first elder and the Taoist priest who was sweeping the floor looked at the light ball in front of them in shock. The first elder gasped. The Taoist priest's turbid eyes shone with a strange light. Under everyone's gaze, Lin Xian walked forward. Gradually, his expression turned solemn because he felt an enormous pressure. At this moment, he was 30 meters away from the Moon Soul Stone in front of him, but there seemed to be a pair of invisible hands stopping him. The resistance in front of him became stronger, and it was very terrifying. It wanted to crush him. Although he had the great dragon sword soul to open the way, his speed was much slower than before. Moreover, the surrounding terrifying aura was surging toward him from all directions. Lin Xian had no choice but to activate the 9 yang divine body. At the same time, golden runes flashed in his eyes. He activated the heavenly secret divine eyes. Just like that, Lin Xian walked another 10 meters and stopped 20 meters away from the Moon Soul Stone. He did not walk forward anymore. Instead, he stood still. This scene made all the geniuses in the main hall gulp. The woman in red behind him was also stunned. Her body was trembling slightly. Damn it, is this the guy from the legends? He really has 3 heads and 6 arms. She was not an ordinary person. She was also one of the top geniuses on the moon-gazing list. Her strength was above Situ Sheoshan's. She did not see the incident at the moon-gazing lake with her own eyes, but the entire moon-gazing peak had spread. Naturally, she had also heard about it. It was rumored that the young man who had just entered had stirred up the 9 heavy waves and created a legend. He had shocked everyone. Moreover, it was said that the kid had 3 heads and 6 arms. He was very magical. Lu Yanan was very curious about such a person. Finally, she saw him just now. However, he did not have 3 heads and 6 arms like she had imagined. Instead, he was a handsome young man. Other than that, she did not see anything special about him. But now she saw it. He was actually 20 meters away from the Moon Soul Stone. That was too unbelievable. One had to know that when she was in front of the Moon Soul Stone and condensed the Moon Soul, she could see up to 80 meters away. As far as she knew, Yi Fei and Xue Ling were only 60 to 70 meters away from her. Even Heimo, the famous and terrifying existence of the moon-gazing peak, had condensed the Moon Soul from 50 meters away. Who would condense the Moon Soul from 20 meters away like that? He was simply courting death. In Lu Yanan's opinion, it was absolutely impossible for anyone to do that. Even the number 1 Huangfu Beitian could not do it. But now, she saw with her own eyes that someone had successfully done it. She wondered how long it would take for him to condense the moon soul. Chapter 30:18. Back then, she took 3 months to condense it. She was ranked 9th on the full moon peak, and was considered a super genius. Those who were ranked higher than her, such as Yi Fei and Xue Ling, took 1.5 months. The Hamo seemed to have taken only 1 month to condense it. I wonder how long this kid will take. The surrounding geniuses were also shocked. Looking at his terrifying appearance, I think he should be able to condense it in a month. No way 1 month? Wouldn't he be able to catch up with the Hamo? At the mention of the Hamo, these geniuses trembled. They had no choice. The Hamo was too terrifying. He was like a shadow that pressed down on them until they couldn't breathe. It's impossible. He shouldn't be able to compete with the Hamo in the sea. I think he should take about a month to condense it. These people discussed. Even if he condensed it in more than a month, it was still a shocking matter. After all, Yi Fei and the others were extremely terrifying existences in their eyes. Lin Xian stood in front of them with a serious expression. He could feel a mysterious power coming from the Moon Soul Stone. It wanted to enter his body and tear his body apart. Especially his soul, it was under great pressure. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. Golden runes appeared in his eyes, floating and spinning rapidly. Buzz! He absorbed the energy of the Moon Soul Stone and condensed it quickly in his body. However, he didn't know where the others condensed it. His power was rapidly condensing in his left eye. More and more of it formed a small light spot, and it was gradually growing bigger. What a strange and mysterious energy! Lin Xian was surprised. He didn't expect the energy of the Moon Soul Stone to be produced in his heavenly secret divine eye. At the same time, the golden runes in his heavenly secret divine eye were spinning rapidly as if they were very happy. Lin Xian had never seen this scene before. This made his heart tremble. He took another step forward. No way, this kid wants to move forward. Does he want to die? This time, those people screamed again. Behind him, Lu Yanan also exclaimed. 20 meters was already a miracle, but the other party actually wanted to go 10 meters forward. This was something that even Huangpu Beitian, who was ranked first, couldn't do. Ka. As expected, after Lin Xian took a step forward, the bones in his body emitted cracking sounds. The Nine Suns' divine body also suffered a great impact. He coldly snorted, and his divine body bloomed with light, forcibly withstanding the pressure. At the same time, he activated the Great Dragon Sword Soul, and formed a dragon-shaped sword shadow. It rushed forward and broke through the mysterious power. 1 step, 2 steps, Lin Xian once again walked forward. When he reached 10 meters, the power of the Nine Yang divine body and the Great Dragon Sword Spirit could no longer walk forward. However, at this moment, his heavenly fate divine eye started to emit a mysterious light as it rotated slowly. He seemed to have communicated with the Moon Soul in front of him. He felt that the pressure around him had suddenly lightened, as if it had disappeared. What was going on? Could it be that the heavenly secret divine eyes were somehow related to the Moon Soul Stone? He didn't know, but he walked forward without hesitation. Finally, he arrived before the Moon Soul Stone. At this distance, he only needed to stretch out his hand to touch the Moon Soul Stone. My heavens! This scene caused everyone to be stupefied. He actually arrived in front of the Moon Soul Stone. Damn it, how did this kid do it? The people in the hall were about to go crazy. Behind them, Lu Yanan also opened her cherry mouth wide as if she had seen a ghost. Outside, the first elder's pupils shrank. The Taoist who was sweeping the floor also trembled, and a shocking light burst out from his turbid eyes. He could actually walk to the front. It was really surprising. Huangfu Beitian couldn't do it, and the North Demon couldn't do it, but he did it. The first elder was also shocked. How long would it take him to condense the Moon Soul? At this rate, he would probably be able to do it in a few days. The first elder muttered to himself. The Taoist who was sweeping the floor at the side also spoke. Back then, Yi Guqing only took a day to condense the Moon Soul. 1 day. This was really shocking news. One had to know that even a terrifying monster like the Black Demon had to spend a month, But Yi Guqing only took a day tens of thousands of years ago. The gap between them was simply too great. No wonder Yi Guqing could comprehend the moon-gazing wordless steel. How long would it take Lin Xian to condense the moon soul now? Lin Xian looked at the moon soul stone in front of him, and his eyes flickered. He reached out his hand and gently touched it. He felt a shocking force that wanted to open his palm. With a cold shout, the golden hand emitted a light, and there was even a dragon-shaped sword chi surrounding it to block the aura. His palm landed on the moon soul stone. Buzz! A shocking force erupted, and the surrounding monsters in the distance fled frantically. Damn it! What is this guy trying to do? Is he crazy? The light emitted by the moon soul stone was too sharp. At this moment, it was as if it had transformed into a full moon that stood above the 9 heavens. It pressed down on everyone. With a plop, the surrounding monsters were pressed to the ground, and their faces were pale. Lu Yanen's expression changed drastically. She shouted, and countless red sword shadows surrounded her body, forming a red lotus that wrapped around her. It resisted the pressure of the full moon in the sky. The great elder who was watching in the dark was shocked. The moon soul stone had been activated. The Taoist priest who was sweeping the floor did not say anything, and his eyes were fixed on the screen. The moon soul stone had indeed been activated, and Lin Xian did not expect it to be like this. Could it be that it was not a stone? What exactly was it? He did not know, but he felt a great pressure. Even with the strength of the 9 yang divine body, it was on the verge of cracking under the pressure. Buzz buzz buzz. Lin Xian resisted with all his might, and the moon soul stone became more and more mysterious. It was as if it had really turned into a moon that wanted to crush everything mercilessly. At this moment, Lin Xian's heavenly secret divine eyes spun crazily, and the golden runes quickly combined, emitting a mysterious aura. Buzz buzz buzz. Lin Xian's body trembled, and he saw a scene in front of him. Above the endless plains, there was a full moon. The moon hanging high in the sky was so big that it was unbelievable. It was like a star in front of him, and he could not see the end of it. What kind of scene was this? Lin Xian was stunned. Time passed slowly. 1 incense sticks time, 2 incense sticks time, and finally 2 hours had passed. Lin Xian's body trembled, and all of the illusions disappeared. In his left eye, endless golden runes wrapped around the essence of the moon and quickly condensed, forming a crescent moon pattern that was reflected in his eye. Buzz. As soon as the crescent moon pattern appeared, endless moonlight rushed towards Lin Xian's left eye and wrapped around him. Chapter 30:19. Boom. Once again, the surrounding monsters were pushed back. The moon soul stone retracted its terrifying aura and floated in the air again. What's going on? What happened? Those people were stunned. Could it be that he condensed the moon soul? What a joke. Those prodigies screamed. Is this a joke? How can he condense the moon soul in 2 hours? I don't believe it. They really didn't believe it. The black demon took a month, but Lin Fan only took 2 hours. Lu Yanen didn't believe it either. However, outside, the first elder and the Taoist priest were stunned. The first elder's hands were trembling a little. 2 hours, he actually condensed the moon soul in 2 hours. How did he do it? To be honest, the first elder was indeed shocked because the previous Yi Guqing, a terrifying prodigy, also took a day to condense the moon soul. Lin Xian had only used 2 hours to do it. The Taoist priest took a deep breath and stared at the screen. His eyes were very mysterious. Perhaps he had some kind of bloodline or inheritance, but he still couldn't figure it out. His eyes? The first elder gasped. But no matter what, Lin Xian condensed the moon soul in 2 hours, which really shocked them. Not only did he scare them, but he also created another legend. Not to mention him. Even the peak leader would be shocked when he knew about it. Inside the moon palace, the golden light in Lin Xian's eyes disappeared and returned to normal. He turned around and walked into the distance. The surrounding prodigies were puzzled. Did this kid condense the moon soul? I don't know. Did he give up? Or did he succeed? What a joke. He can't possibly succeed in 2 hours. Even a god can't do it. Those people shook their heads. In their opinion, Could it be that this guy had suffered some kind of injury before? Hee, who asked this brat to act tough and get so close to me? He must have been injured. That must be it. Lu Yanan was also surprised. Just as she was about to ask what happened to Lin Xian, a figure walked over beside her. As soon as the figure entered, he scanned the surroundings. When he stared at Lin Xian, he was stunned for a moment before a cold smile appeared on his face. Brat, it's actually you. I didn't expect to meet you here. Hearing this, Lin Xian also stopped in his tracks and raised his head to look ahead. He frowned. Who are you? The other party was a stranger. He didn't recognize him. Moreover, he had just arrived at Full Moon Peak not long ago. Other than Situ Shoutian and Black Devil, he had not offended anyone. Who was this person? Could he be a subordinate of the Black Demon? I've long heard that you've joined Full Moon Peak, but I've never had the chance to see you. I didn't expect to meet you here today. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. What's going on? Yuan Kuei was actually going to attack. Oh heavens, Yuan Kuei is attacking Lin Xian. The surrounding geniuses crawled up from the ground. Before they could recover from their shock, they were already screaming. Yuan Kuei, this kid didn't offend you, did he? Lu Yanan, who was at the side, also frowned. Yuan Kuei coldly snorted. This kid killed the #1 genius of the war race, Zhan Wushuang. My celestial race and the war race have always been on good terms. I naturally have to avenge Zhan Wushuang. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. No wonder someone from the celestial race was like this. Yuan Kuei was also a member of the 10,000 ancient races. Moreover, he had a good relationship with the war race. From the looks of it, he really wanted to stand up for Zhan Wushuang this time. Since you want to stand up for him, then cut the crap and attack. Lin Xian looked at Yuan Kuei, his body emitting a biting cold killing intent. The surrounding people were stunned. This kid actually dared to attack Yuan Kuei? Lu Yanan was also stunned. She knew that Lin Xian had just arrived and didn't know how powerful Yuan Kuei was. Therefore, she explained, "Kid, think carefully. Yuan Kuei is ranked 15th on Full Moon Peak. His strength is above Situ Shoutian. Situ Shoutian is ranked 20th. Can you do it? If you can't, I'll help you stop him." Ranked 15th? Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I want to see what's so special about a person ranked 15th. To be honest, he really wanted to see. He had seen Situ Shaoshan's strength. He wondered how Yuan Kuei would fare. However, no matter how strong Yuan Kuei was, he wasn't afraid. Previously at Full Moon Lake, his strength had already increased. Now he had just condensed the Moon Soul. He could use this opportunity to feel what kind of mysterious power the Moon Soul had. You don't know the difference between life and death. Do you think you can contend against me just by condensing the 9 heavy waves? Kid, talent is talent. Strength is strength. Before you grow, you'd better tuck your tail between your legs. Yuan Kuei shouted coldly. A halberd appeared in his hand. As he waved it, it shattered the void. It seemed that he wanted to directly attack in the Moon Palace. There shouldn't be a problem to attack here, right? Lin Xian looked at Lu Yanan. Lu Yanan said, "No problem. This Moon Palace is very mysterious. Even a half-step saint can't break it. There shouldn't be any problem if you two fight. Since that's the case, I'm relieved." Lin Xian was afraid that the Moon Palace was too weak, and he couldn't use his full strength. Since it could withstand the attack of a half-step saint, he could attack to his heart's content. You don't know the difference between life and death. Take my attack. Yuan Kuei shouted coldly. He stomped his foot, causing a loud bang. The entire Moon Palace shook. At the same time, a piercing light erupted from his body. The halberd in his hand swung like a bolt of lightning descending from the sky. The entire void was instantly split in half. Clang. Lin Xian waved his golden fist and performed the 9 Suns' divine fist. He turned into a golden light and collided with the halberd. After the attack, Lin Xian withdrew his fist. Yuan Kuei withdrew his halberd. His arm was numb, and his face was extremely gloomy. Good kid, you're strong enough. No wonder you dare to be arrogant in front of me. However, it's not enough. Yuan Kuei attacked again. Lin Xian contended against him. The two of them exchanged dozens of blows, causing the sky to collapse and the earth to crack. Fortunately, the lunar palace was mysterious enough that it was not broken. Even so, the surrounding sky prides were stunned. He could actually fight against Yuan Kuei. That's impossible, right? Yuan Kuei was a super existence ranked 15th. This kid is strong, but how can he be so strong? Damn it! Yuan Kuei roared angrily. After fighting for so long, he still couldn't take down his opponent. This made him lose face. Therefore, he was ready to use his trump card. Kid, I'll let you see the power of my moon spirit. A crescent moon appeared on his arm. Buzz! A vast amount of energy burst out from his body. The punch was like a god's fist, destroying everything. At this moment, the power of the moon essence filled the air, as if it was going to split the world. Oh no, it seems that Yuan Kuei is really angry. He even used the power of the moon spirit. He's bullying me. Who asked this kid to show off? He had just arrived and hadn't condensed the moon spirit. Therefore, he was no match for Yuan Kuei. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.